What? That was crazy. Shout out to Jazz Dog, who writes incredible music. Hello. I'm Luxander. I'm here. I'm ready to go. I spent an insane amount of money at the grocery store today because it turns out that high protein options are expensive. Anyway, what's up, Murph? Hello. Good to see you. Psychoplebeian, Cursed Chaos, Dream. Hello. Drea. What's up? Also, shout out to the YouTube chat. Never want to ignore the YouTube chat. We've got Mira, Sweet Dream, Dally. We've got Turtlebird Me, Mosh, Cosmic Fantasy. Hello, babes. Hope that you all are having a great one. It's been pretty okay so far for me today. I mean, I only woke up at 9:30, which was an hour and a half ago. So definitely still feeling a little bit of... You know, do you ever get like discombobulated? Do you ever have dreams that are like really intense and it makes you go, am I okay? Like, I don't know. It's just thrown off my perception of the past week. Oh, and there is time for me to undo my tea, just about. Had to pour myself a cup of tea. So I don't know what's wrong with me. I have now become a person who actually prefers to have tea in the morning instead of coffee. I think I still prefer the coffee because of like flavor reasons. Like I think it tastes better. But I've really been enjoying like the ritual and the variety in my tea because I have like a handful of different pretty high quality teas. So I have like some element of choosing what note to start my day upon, if that makes any sense. So it's like, ooh, is this a jasmine tea day, or am I gonna just go with a herbal tea, or is it today? This is actually my favorite tea right now, I think. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy more when I run out, but it's a black tea with rose in it and bergamot oil. And it's really, really good. And I think I'm going to let it cool off a little bit because in a second, I'm going to have to go get some cream and some honey in there. I was like, I can't wait another like 3 minutes of my coffee steeping before I start stream. Trying to be reasonable, okay? Yes, Mother's Day is today, right? Yeah, Mother's Day is today, which is great. I'm so excited for you all who celebrate Mother's Day. I need to text my mother-in-law. She's the one mother I acknowledge on Mother's Day. I guess I could also text my sister. She might appreciate it. Preparing coffee and breakfast. Hey, yes. I have become a breakfast person. Our 30s are full of change, is what I'm discovering. By the way, we are going to talk about politics today. I just usually start off the stream talking about kind of whatever. So come in, hit the like button. Even if you don't want to stay and hang out for the just hanging out part, we will talk about something that matters in a little while. I would describe my dreams as chaotic. So sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm like, there was a lot that happened there. I was visited by my cat Lucy in my dreams last night. That was one of the ones. I think I had an alarm that went off around a little bit before 8 o'clock and then I fell back asleep. So I got to go through a whole hour and a half cycle again, which is probably part of why my recollection is so strong this morning, when usually, you don't really think about dreams for very long. Anyway, oh my God, my eye has been twitching. Lord have mercy. Oh man. Oh, that's interesting. Having wild dreams seems to be correlated to how much reading I am doing. That's an interesting point because I do feel like some of the dreams that I've had recently have had some flavors of The Last of Us, which I've been watching the TV show. I've rewatched the episodes a few times. Sometimes I skip around a little bit, and then I've also been watching like videos explaining the lore. I have to be careful about which ones I watch because I don't want to spoil myself on anything from the game because I haven't played the games. Dude, I was interested in going like, oh, The Last of Us, excuse me. I was like, it's kind of an old game. How much is it? They're still charging full price $50 for those games. I'm like, I do not have $100 to spend on that right now. Ooh, Dally says it's Earl Grey month for the company I get my teas from. Gotta love some cranberry Earl Grey. Ooh, I still don't think I've had Earl Grey tea before. Moshe says I'm learning how to make ancient quesadillas. What does that entail? That's fascinating. Stop by the Stephen Tea Shop in Portland. Okay. There's like at least one tea place that I want to go to locally, not because I want to purchase loose leaf tea there, but rather because I want to purchase the tea drinks that they make. Again, it's so strange. This time in my life, I'm like on a high protein diet. I'm working out. Like, I'm about to apply to a job that I would make so much money at. 31. It's a weird age. I hate how in Baldur's Gate 3, they call the goblins gobbos. That sounds like a slur, dude. It just reminds me of the Australian slang gobby, which is like a really, really, really vulgar term for a blowjob. It's like not something you would say to your girlfriend if you were early in your relationship. Gobby is, yeah, it's super vulgar, which is, it's very funny to me knowing curses in other languages or like knowing vulgar things in other languages. It's just like, I don't know. Oh my God. I think the allergies are starting to hit. I have been so congested. Like it comes and goes. I've been so congested. I've been getting the itchy eyes thing on and off a little bit. It's usually not so bad. I wonder if there's like something here. Well, I guess there's like a shit ton more trees here. So if I have allergies to trees, then that makes sense. Anyway, I'm just suffering. Don't worry about me. Okay, Moshe's explaining to us what ancient quesadillas means. There's the show Tasting History on YouTube. The recipe in question is from 1810. It is sifted field corn dough with cheese and fried in lard. Wow, that sounds crazy. Other languages like Australian. You're right, Nuvenal. I just got... when you have ADHD, sometimes not only do we have racing thoughts, but like sometimes that happens while you're in the middle of talking. So when I was saying it's so interesting learning curses in other languages, my brain was thinking about pendejo. So in my brain, I was thinking Spanish, but I out loud made it sound like Australian is a different language. I mean, sometimes if you get a really thick Australian accent, sometimes it's like, I don't know what you're saying. Is this supposed to be a mutually intelligible dialect of the same language? Because it doesn't really feel like it. But, you know. Anyway, goodness gracious, let's see. So today is Sunday, which means we have an entire week of news that we could potentially be looking at. Let's see. So I did have like a couple of highlights that I wanted to discuss, but for the most part, I'm free to just like talk about whatever comes up. Oh, you guys put some suggestions in the stream recommendations channel on the Discord. So I always try to at least look at what you guys put in there. Give it a little bit of time on stream. I get phlegm every day and I don't smoke. Should I be concerned? Because it's probably been over a year at least. I don't know. Probably not. I just feel like I think it's normal when you sleep that you accumulate some phlegm. So in the mornings at least. But if you are getting it throughout the day, then maybe that's something to look at. I don't know. I don't have health insurance. I don't get to think things like that. I don't get to think things like, should I go to the doctor for this? I'm like, I have stuff I know I need to go to the doctor for. If I suspect that I have EDS or some kind of connective tissue problem, that could mean that there will be something wrong with my heart in the future, even though there isn't anything wrong with my heart right now. So it's the kind of thing where it's like, oh yeah, I know that I need to get evaluated and make sure that I don't end up with like a more severe problem. Okay, Drea confirms that even though I didn't mean to say that Australian is a different language, that Aussie is definitely a different language. I'll take your word for it. Ooh, Moshe suggests that learning how to make candy could be considered an essential survival skill post-apocalypse. That is an interesting idea. I'm definitely of the opinion, okay, if we're all going to live through the apocalypse together, which it kind of seems like we're going to, well, I mean, those of us who live through it. But anyway, I'm firmly of the opinion that, yeah, you need things that make life worth living. So you can't just be thinking about the essential macros, like you can't be doing what I'm doing with my little workout app thing where I'm sitting here going, how much protein, how much carbs, how much fat. I mean, those things do matter. I'm not saying they don't, but flavor also matters. And whether you're working out and trying to like hit certain fitness goals, or if you're surviving in the post-apocalypse, you have to learn how to make things taste good. So yeah, like maybe there's not really a dietary reason to include spicy peppers in the things that you decide to grow if you are growing food. But hot sauce, here's what I had for breakfast. I had a piece of honey wheat toast. On top of that, I had a quarter cup of low-fat yogurt, or sorry, not low-fat, low-fat cottage cheese, a really high quality low-fat cottage cheese. About a teaspoon of ground flaxseed on top of that. And then I chopped up 2 hard-boiled eggs. One of them I kind of ate on the side, and the other one I put on top of all that. And then I put hot sauce on top of it. So what is otherwise kind of an insufferable, weird textured breakfast is like, oh, and now it tastes good, so it's a little bit more tolerable. So you want spicy peppers, you want herbs that don't necessarily serve any kind of, yeah, we're already getting into the food portion of the stream today, and it usually happens later, but I just ate, so it's what I'm thinking about. And I also have like, I have these like, I got some protein peanut butter cups so that I can satisfy like a desire to eat something sweet, but it's just peanut butter cups with a bunch of protein in them. So yeah, life has to be worth living. You have to play games. You have to spice up your food. You have to try new things. You have to still try to see new things, like stimulation. You need those. You need those things to have a healthy brain. You know, it's kind of like the whole thing about in zoos. I think one of the more popular form of social media post from animal conservancy organizations, including zoos, is the enrichment. You know, they do stuff like they'll like tie a whole chicken carcass up like on a big rope, and then see like it's like if it's for big cats, they have to like try to jump off of something nearby and grab the chicken and pull it down. Yeah, it's like stimulation. What do they call it? I think I already said it. There's a word for it when it's not stimulation. Enrichment. Yes, enrichment. I already said it. So enrichment is one of the things that we do. You have to go out of your way and do it on purpose for animals in captivity. Similar to you human being who is kind of functionally in captivity to some extent, if you're staying home a lot, or if you're at work and you can't leave, or if we become globally isolated and like can't travel as much because there's no gasoline or whatever. You can tell I've been watching post-apocalypse shows recently. I'm thinking about this more than I think about it normally. You guys know, I think about living post-apocalypse a lot, but I'm doing it even more now because I'm also watching a zombie apocalypse show. Yeah, so you also need enrichment. So if you aren't doing things on a regular basis that enriches you and stimulates you mentally and gets you thinking, or, you know, it gets you working with your hands or something, that is something that you really should take a moment to think about and prioritize and say, hey, how could I do that? Could you doodle more? Or could you, I don't know, there's so many different options, but just doing something that is mentally stimulating. Spicy peppers could be good to keep warm in winter. Does it actually raise your body temperature? I don't know if I've ever read about that or researched into it. I know it definitely makes you feel hot on the surface. Is it like alcohol in that it's a vasodilator and it makes you, or maybe it's not directly a vasodilator, but maybe it just makes you think that you're hot and therefore stimulates your body to do the things that it does when it's hot, like flooding the capillary veins in order to cool down, thereby like raising your surface temperature while reducing your core temperature. Ooh, Max says, I've gotten back into reading books, which is good enrichment, and that's gotten me back into writing, which is also enrichment. Yes, I am about to reread The Bridge to Terabithia after having recently finished Z for Zachariah. This is a book that I actually own instead of one that I'm just borrowing from the library. So this is my next, I'm gonna do cardio later today, and my plan is to read while I do cardio on my little bike pedals that I got. So yeah, eating peppers makes you feel hot at the very minimum, which can make going to sleep more comfortable when you don't have central heating. Oh, okay, good point. Mental stimulation is one reason I enjoy writing. Yeah, so I told you guys before about this role that I'm looking into, and it's a social media role, but it will require writing, and like one of the things that they asked for is like some sample posts or sample writing. So I'm like, bro, it's not the same as like writing fiction, of course, but yeah, even just writing and being like, how can I express like why this thing matters or whatever. Like I'm functionally a writer in that this is what I do all day. I like think about my thoughts and compose them differently, and I work out my arguments, and I'm like constantly improving on those things and like thinking about different political issues and trying to like really hone my opinion on those things. And then it's also a form of communication where I'm like, I'm trying to better communicate my ideas. So I've been wanting to get back into writing. I have written recently, and I thought it was really fucking high quality work. Like my essay about The Last of Us, I genuinely think it's so high quality, but I don't think I'm in a position to like make that video essay because it would not perform well, and I would be absolutely devastated because I think it's my best writing. So paradoxically, my best writing I'm keeping to myself. Like it's like the best thing I've written in a while though. Ooh, yes, Mersh. Watching the ducks and geese. Yes. Did you manage to get your references sorted? Yeah, for the most part. I have 2 references that have fully given me all their information and everything, and I'm just waiting for Josie to get back to me. She said that she would love to help. Like I texted her and was like, hey, would you be willing to be my reference and like maybe even look at my resume and stuff if you have time? And she said I would love to help. And then I was like, okay, I just need to know the basic information that I need to put down on my references page. She has not gotten back to me, but it's okay. She's busy, and we're doing like, the Lion is doing an RFR fundraiser thing this weekend for Recovering from Religion Foundation. And so everybody's just very busy right now. So I'm going to hit her up like probably after I've finished my cover letter, which I'm going to be working on like tonight and tomorrow. Watching your streams and listening to you is some of my enrichment, but not politics. Yeah. I've been trying to I've been succeeding. I think that I have been succeeding in not really looking at politics stuff. Unfortunately, that does mean that I'm kind of avoiding blue sky because that's where I get my politics from. And I just have not been paying any attention to any of this week. Ooh, cool. It looks like we might not get a COVID booster for this year. Like the FDA might not sign off on one. See, like this is what I see as soon as I get on Blue Sky. I'm like, I was kind of not necessarily expecting there to be a new one. I need to take last year's anyway, because even if there was going to be a new one, it wouldn't usually be out until September, and I need to take mine before September. There's just like no... There's just like no reason to be on here. I can't do anything about any of this stuff. This is kind of where I've landed. I want to focus on problems that are possible to solve. And it's okay. So here's, I realized part of the problem. I think, oh no, I read something in the chat and it completely dissolved what I was trying to say. We love when that happens. Okay. You know what? I'm going to go put cream and honey in my coffee real quick. Or sorry, in my tea so that I can actually drink it. And I'll be back momentarily. Okay? Don't go anywhere though. Promise. Okay, I have returned. Sorry. I was just like, you know what? The moment that I lost my train of thought, what a great time to step away. But I picked up my train of thread of thought while I was gone. I'm realizing that the problem that I have with my job right now as it stands as a streamer, I think the problem is the isolation. Cause like, okay, if I were to start doing social media management for a nonprofit organization, I would functionally be continuing to do the same work that I'm doing now. What I'm doing now is technically, it's like outreach content, because I'm making content that's like, hey, you should know about this issue, or hey, I'm trying to convince you of this issue, right? Like, very rarely I do make explicitly educational content, which is to say, I'm like, here's a queer terminology, let me explain it to you. But even then, I guess a lot of the time, like, I do some form of persuasion or outreach toward the end. But like, so the overwhelming majority of what I do now is outreach. I think the problem that I run into is that the only feedback I have is my analytics. And my channel has been kind of stagnant for a while. Yeah, I get these like growth spurts, and then I stagnate for a really long time. And I haven't really been able to nail in like a balance of like, what do I want to discuss and what do the people want to hear me discuss? Like, you know, like how do the videos perform? Like, well, oftentimes not as well as I would like. Obviously, I get stuck in this like maybe like as low as 1,000 views per video, sometimes up to almost 4,000 for occasional ones that kind of pop off a little bit, but they don't really like pop off for the most part. Oh, okay, I have this one video essay that popped off for 10,000 views because I put a lot of famous people in the thumbnail. Okay, easy, sure. But if I had like a director, in the sense of like somebody to say like, okay, like at a nonprofit, they'll be like, okay, so we have this event coming up. we need you to create some promo for that event, and then you need to be at the event and kind of be I think that in that role, you're basically the in-house press for the company or for the nonprofit or whatever it is, and you're basically like creating advertisements or coverage for the events. Like, oh, we're holding a fundraiser, so we need to tell people about the fundraiser to try to get them to donate. And then, oh my God, I have so much twitching happening in my eye, and I feel like it's making me look like a crazy person. I don't even know if you can see it, but it's making me feel like a crazy person. And like, oh, we have a fundraiser, and it's being held at this particular event place, and so you have to come to the event place and like create some kind of videos covering the event or social media posts covering the event. I'm like, okay, that's everything I do now, but like with someone else telling me what to talk about, you know, and then I just have to figure out like how to like put that together. So I think that in any situation where we're experiencing burnout, I would say look to the question of like, are you feeling supported in your role? Because like I'm finding that on its own just like, even if I were working for a trans specific organization, I think I would still be taking more psychic damage doing that than I would at like an environmental organization. But I still think that it would be a little bit easier in that you at least have a team of people who are supporting you and can help you figure out what you need to do next if you're feeling stuck. You can take paid time off of work if you have like a job that does that. I'm in Australia getting my shot next week. What do you mean no booster this year, Lux? So Puggles, it's the FDA. Like the FDA might not approve a new booster this year. Let me try to scroll up and find the post that I was reading. So FDA Commissioner Marty McCary is sending signals that the FDA, so the the Food and Drug Administration, the Food and Drug Administration of the United States government will likely not authorize a COVID-19 booster vaccine this year for children, and perhaps not for the general population as a whole, saying he cannot in good faith recommend booster vaccination for children. So there is a chance that there will not be an updated booster available here that's been approved by the FDA. I'm starting to wonder, honestly, legitimately, I would do medical tourism. If I have to go to Mexico or Canada to get a COVID booster every year, I fucking will. Don't even try to, don't trip on me. But I think in like July, I'm going to just see if somebody has a booster from last year and just get last year's booster and say that, you know, it's better than nothing. Mama Mephistopheles, hello. I was just thinking about you the other day. I'm so glad you're able to pop in. I'm sorry that my eyeball twitched right in the middle of me saying that. It's been acting like a fool today, and I don't know what its problem is, but it's making me look like an insane person. We're just going to ignore that. But yes, good to see you. So happy to see you. So yeah, like isolation, I think, is a huge form of burnout. And so if we're working with a team of people, not only can those people help bounce ideas off of or take things off of our plate when necessary, or our boss can authorize time off or whatever. Yeah, like just having a social environment can in and of itself be kind of healing. Like, yeah, maybe you eat lunch with this coworker outside every day, and that's like a social moment that you get to have. Or maybe you occasionally join for like an after work event bullshit kind of thing. You know, I just think that it's a lot easier when you work in concert with other people to have less feeling of overwhelm and less feeling of helplessness. Because this is something that is bothering me about my coverage. Like, you know, I pulled open Blue Sky a minute ago and I immediately saw some stuff that I'm like, well, I can't do anything about any of this. Mahmoud Khalil, anything that President Trump is doing. I'm seeing posts about a luxury 747. Like he's gonna have like a gold-plated airplane or something that's gonna cost the taxpayers a huge amount of money, blah, 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 whatever. It's dumb, it's stupid, and doesn't, like, I don't care, and it doesn't, I can't do anything about it, right? So there's just this immediate sense of like my brain shuts off because I can't, I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do about any of this stuff? And I think that that feeling comes from being isolated. Because if, for example, I'm working in an organization, we as a group decide what to do, and then I don't have to do all of the jobs. I can just do one of the jobs. I think this is a huge deal for making sure that we understand our effectiveness, and it's something that I have been kind of soaking in this last week. The idea that, like, just because I'm frustrated with my job right now doesn't mean that my job doesn't have skills that could translate to like me contributing to a broader movement, right? Like maybe what I want to do is like help decide what environmental decisions get made in a particular region. Like that's kind of a dream job, right? But what I can do now is social media management. So I don't know why I feel like I need to save the world single-handedly, but I think that a lot of us probably feel that way. And instead, we should focus on like, what is the particular role? What's the niche that we can fill? Are you really good at math? Because nonprofits need people to manage their finances for them, for example. And not all the jobs are going to be particularly like glamorous, but just do something, and ideally do it as part of a team so that you don't feel like you're just floundering by yourself all the time. It's a quesadilla for lunch kind of day. Ooh, I love that. We have a sandwich press that's actually really great for making quesadillas. It's like, it's just a little sandwich press, and it has two sandwich sides, and it's made for like a square piece of bread. It's not really made for these, the nice quality bread that's extra wide. Nope, it's made for square bread. And there's all these like triangle shaped things all over it to give it like a nice cut it in half almost kind of shape going on. And it's really easy to make quesadillas in. You just take like a burrito sized tortilla and spread it across both sides, put the cheese in, fold it over, and fold the thing down. And it's like a pretty effective form of making a quesadilla. My skill is freaking TikToks. LMAO, my day job is a nonprofit, but these HUD cuts are devastating our ability to actually help. Ooh, that sucks. I know, that's so difficult. Yeah. Mama, you haven't been here, but I am in the process of making up my resume and cover letter for a social media management position at an environmental nonprofit, after having gone through like a little bit of a crisis recently, feeling like I want to pivot to environmental work, and maybe even that might require me to go to college. But now I'm like, oh yeah, I do have an existing set of skills, and a position happens to be open in my area. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get it. And it would be a full-time position. I would be making a lot of money. Yeah, it would be pretty great. My burrito-sized tortillas are like 15 inches in diameter. Om nom. Wow, that's pretty crazy. That's about how big that is. My hand span is like 7.5 or 8 inches. So together, that's about how big your quesadilla, yeah. That's big. I think the ones we get are like 10 inches or so from just fucking great value. I'm not trying to get fancy tortillas for my white people burrito night. Oh, this is a really excellent post that I just randomly happened to see on my timeline on Blue Sky. It's from Paul Krugman, who says, so let me get this straight. Masks are bad and un-American if they're being worn to fight a pandemic, but they're good if being worn by people claiming to be government agents when they kidnap people off the street. That's crazy. Yeah, the tortillas from restaurants are bigger. That does not surprise me. I kind of want to see your energy on an environmental nonprofit social media. No kid gloves. I mean, I would definitely be more professional than I am now if I worked for an organization. I don't need to be professional because I work for myself. I can say dumb shit, although I do think it is an excellent social media strategy when the social media goes a little bit off hinged sometimes. But you have to keep in mind as a nonprofit that you're not just trying to raise awareness with the young ones. You're also trying to solicit donations from people with money, and people with money tend to be a little bit more professional. So you gotta like thread that needle. If anybody challenges you for wearing a mask, just say you'll deport them. Fucking true. Okay, so the position that I'm looking into applying for is a hybrid position. So I would be in office sometimes. And also, like I said earlier, like if there's events, they want coverage of the events. So like taking videos, if they're going to do like, if they're going to participate in like, I don't know, they do like events to bring awareness to stuff. So like having people come out to a site where there's about to be some environmental bullshit happening. Like if somebody is trying to get permission to fucking pollute or some shit like that. I don't know. They'll have an event. So in that sense, I will have to go out and wear my mask. And I feel like people perceive the mask as like kind of an unfriendly thing. It makes people feel defensive. So I think in order to counteract that, I recently was going through my jewelry and stuff that I have, like, and I'm trying to, basically I'm gonna make some, like, jewelry to wear on my mask. I need to find some lobster clasps. I know we have some, but it's like if I was wearing a mask and there was like a chain draped over it, or like some charms or something, because I think that that's a way to kind of enhance the professional appearance and also to create a more friendly appearance with the mask. I don't know, dude. This is me trying to like, and me and everybody else who still wears a mask, we're trying to create a new social language of like, okay, so I want to still appear professional and friendly, and I want to make it clear that this is a very deliberate choice that I'm making. Is there any way that I can disarm people who are going to feel defensive about me wearing a mask? So, yeah, I don't know. But that's kind of my little idea, is making some jewelry and be like, I don't know, make it cute. Time to embrace a techno goth mask? Oh no. Mama says, at this point, I'm thinking I either get out of Texas by September or run for office. Every OF sub goes right into the campaign. Now is the time for politicians who will get their knuckles dirty. I think it would be amazing for a sex worker to run for office and be like, yeah, openly, like, my primary job is I'm a sex worker. In fact, go donate to my OnlyFans. All of the money is going to, well, I'm sure that there are rules about like where you can donate and things. So you wouldn't necessarily want to be saying like, I'm funding my own campaign, because that's what you would be doing if you were taking OnlyFans subscriptions. I don't know. It's hard for me because I'm already gothy, punky, witchy, and then I have the mask on top of that. Yeah, I'm at least capable of dressing normal in a professional environment. So I've already been thinking of it. TBF, it's not my primary job. No, yeah, true. You work at a nonprofit. You should message me, Mama, and tell me how you got that job. Did you have to write a cover letter? I'm about to have to write a cover letter for this job, and I don't know. I've not done that. I'm confident in my skills as a writer. I just don't know what I need to include necessarily, but I'll figure it out. And I'm going to ask Josie if she'll read my cover letter, because she works at a nonprofit, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, by day I help homeless veterans. By night I make TikToks and sell nudes. True. I really hope that I'm just like the only person who applies to this position who has any experience with making content on social media. Like, I imagine that there's somebody who might be like, oh, I haven't really done this that much. Or at least, like, they can't show, oh, one of the channels I contribute to has 163,000 subscribers. Mm. The classic way of knowing somebody who works there. Okay. That's fair. Drea, thank you so much for the gifted tier 3 sub to Mama Mephistopheles. Mama, you got your fun color back. And thank you, Drea, so much for the donation. I don't know what I want to do as a job. Okay, so the answer is you're never going to like know what you want to do as a job. You'll just have to figure out something that suits your current skill set and that you don't want to kill yourself over every day. That's kind of the answer. Okay, tier 3, that's a 20. I want to say that's a $20 donation. I had to take a little bit of a break off of exercising this week, you guys. I did some bad math. I did some bad math. I was like, okay, I'm gonna start my cut, and so I restricted down to like, a certain number of calories, and I was like, okay, I'm trying to hit these protein goals. I'm trying to eat less fat in order to be able to make these goals and everything, and I did not factor in my workouts. I did not factor in my workouts to like you are supposed to eat a little bit more in order to support that additional activity, but I just goofed and I didn't include that. So I ended up having to take a little bit of a rest this week, but I'm excited to get back to it. This afternoon, actually, I'm going to do some cardio, and then tomorrow I'm back to working on my shoulders. So if we get to $100 in donations, you get to see my progress flex. Excuse me. It turns out that working kind of sucks for most people, and that's why we call it work. Yeah. Like, I'm not necessarily psyched to stay in social media, but like being able to work as a social media manager would be an incredible opportunity, and it would open me up to more stuff in the future. And like, it is a skill that I already have. Communication, primarily. Like, I keep saying, I think of it in this context of like social media, but really what it is a job in communications, which also means that it's a skill that applies to marketing. Like, it's a skill that applies to any job that requires advanced communication skills, whether that's reading and writing or whether that's communication, like public outreach positions, lobbying positions. Like, there are a lot of things that my current skill set would apply to. The reason why I am anywhere near as successful as I am as a streamer is because I am an excellent, excellent verbal communicator. Like, I happen to be very good at English and like having a grasp of compelling writing and shit like that. So how do I take that natural talent and interest and turn it into like a job that I can kind of tolerate? Well, go into communications. Nasty, hello. Psychoplebeian found an artistic job that they might really want to actually do. Yeah, creating and editing trailers. Get some experience in DaVinci Resolve. That's a great thing to be able to refer back to. Obviously, like, as a social media manager, it's very strong on my resume that I regularly work with Adobe Creative Suite. That's a skill that I have. Oh, that was a 3-month one. Oh gosh. Okay, hold on. I never know what the like bulk amounts are. I have to actually look and see what showed up. Thank you. That's very, 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 very generous. Okay, $48 of donations today From Drea. Hell yeah. Thank you so much. That is so, 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 so generous. For the time being, this is still my primary gig. The other gig wouldn't start until a couple months from now, even if I got it today, so... My workout routine has been disrupted by going to the Texas Capitol a lot as we get to the end of the legislative session. I've normally been working out 5 days a week, but I keep only getting to do 3. Yeah. Ooh, mama. Supersets. So something that I just learned about recently is if you have like on the same day, for example, if I have one shoulders day where I just pound shoulders, right? So I have like shoulder press, and then I have upward row, and then I have like lateral raises, and I have face pulls, which actually work like a different muscle group. So for a supersets, you can do 2 of those exercises back to back and then take a rest, instead of like, I'm going to do this one exercise, set, rest, whatever. Instead, I could do like shoulder press immediately followed by upright row, and then take my normal rest that I would take between exercises, like between sets. And then I can start over again and do, okay, shoulder press, and then upward row, and then rest. So you basically can stack 2 exercises that work different muscle groups. And that can save you a lot of time, because then you don't have to do like, you're basically cutting out an entire 3 to 5 minute rest between exercises. And it also increases aerobic activity during the workout. So if you need to save time at the gym, so if you need to pack more in on those 3 days, that's like supersets are a way that you can be more efficient with your time. If you didn't know. Ooh, nasty, yes. I want to make something more official than what I'm currently doing again. Maybe I should make a call out for a video thumbnailing gig. Yeah. Were you making thumbnails for, like, Demon Mama or something, or...? I work out at the Planet Fitness, and supersets that require more than one set of equipment are super annoying when people do it, because it's basically hoarding equipment. I mean, I'm not telling you how to do your workout. I'm just saying, like, if you are able to incorporate supersets, maybe by, like, switching out what you do on which days or something. I'm just saying, like, if you need to fit in more of a workout into those 3 days, that is a way that you can do it. Just sharing things that I know. I did DM's thumbnails for like a year. Nice. Yeah, that was something I was thinking about, and like absolutely no shade on Demon Mama whatsoever. I just think it's interesting. Like, I've always been a one-man show. I have had an editor for a period of time. Sometimes they show up in the chat here. I can't remember what they switched to. I think, yeah, Guitar Rocker. If you ever see Guitar Rocker in the chat, they edited for me for a while, but it's just like, they ended up doing a lot of editing work for a lot of people, and I was like, I don't really need this service. Like, it's helpful, but I don't really need it, especially when Adobe Premiere Pro came out with its like text editing thing. It's like much easier for me to edit now. But with someone like Demon Mama, when she quits, or like, I don't know if she's quit, but I mean, it's been like 7 months since she posted anything on her channel. So, but she was also like, she had people doing her thumbnails for her that she was paying them, and she had people who were timestamping the live streams to make sure that the live stream itself had timestamps on it. I don't do that, you know? So I guess at least if I quit doing streams, then I don't have to worry that like I'm like someone else is out of a job because of it. But that does suck, you know. And I know that that was part of the consideration for Lindsay Ellis as well. I remember her saying like, I can't just stop making videos because then an entire family doesn't have health care anymore. Like, someone who was working for her had just had a kid, And they're like, okay, she was like, okay, am I about to take health insurance away from a fucking baby because I don't want to deal with the like negativity of social media anymore? Such a difficult decision. Man, this is my favorite tea. I love this tea. I love Kat Abugazale. She makes me feel hopeful about the world. I really am scared for her health. Like, she has narcolepsy already, and the fact that she doesn't wear a mask to like these campaign events and stuff that she's hosting makes me worried about her, but I think that she would be cool if she got into office. Trans person loves tea. Another news fish found in water. Haha. It's true. Love tea so much. Your cup reminds me of Care Bears. Fair enough. I just liked that it was kind of like a gay thing. It looks like a gay heart, and it's pink on the inside. So I'm now a tea person. Oh, geez. Well, let's look at what you guys have posted in the Stream Recommendations channel on the Discord server. It's a place where you guys can put links and news articles and memes and whatever that you want me to talk about on stream or react to. Mira has put in a couple of different things, so I'm just going to kind of open all of this, and that's a video on my... Oh, Drew Tanuki, that's a Drew Tanuki video. Or a posted that they... Or, sorry, a video that they posted.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is just impossible.
Be silent. Okay, thank you. All right, I've got some stuff open now. Oof, starting to get just warm enough that we need to take the hoodie off. Ugh. Just shaved my head this week. Got me feeling fresh. Looking forward to seeing my shoulders start to finally round out. I don't know when I'm going to see it. Excuse me. Nasty says, working for Demon Mama was a team effort and the best gig I've ever got to do. She also made the extra effort to pay us for the last unproductive 3 months, so quitting wasn't that much of a sudden blow. I did not know that. That's really sweet. Yeah, that she tried to at least make like a transition period for you guys as she, like, I guess, is she just done making content? I don't know. She was talking about like getting into writing. I don't know what specifically though. I haven't followed up and been like, what are you working on lately? Maybe I could check on her, see how she's doing in that regard. I get to talk to her regularly, but it's for the podcast that we do with Gayfesh. Lat raise holds have been great for my shoulders. I start each set with a 5-second hold or as long as I can. Okay. Switch to dumbbells. As opposed to what? I use like a combination of resistance bands and dumbbells and my body weight. I guess lat raise holds is also kind of a stability move. One stability move I've been doing is like holding a resistance band above my head and like pulling out to the sides. Definitely need to make sure you're stabilizing a joint like the shoulder because it's really easy to fuck it up. Am I sunburnt? No, I have in fact not been going outside very much. I shouldn't be sunburned. It's just warm, so there's capillary action. Okay, conservative Texas school board voted out amid book bans. This was some good news that Mira wanted to share with us out of Texas. So, Greg Abbott is vowing to overhaul Texas education, blah, 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 blah. But the voters, let's see, voters in Mansfield Independent School District overhauled the school board in the May 3rd election, with challengers unseating incumbents, including the board president and secretary, in all 3 contested races. Texas is among the states that have seen a recent rise in book bans, with the Lone Star State issuing 625 bans during the 22 to 23 academic year. The vote also followed a charged election season, fueled by heightened outside political involvement and growing debate over the influence of partisanship in local school governance. I made sure to gloat about that a little bit the last time I testified at the Public Education Committee. True. Yeah, look at this. Like, yeah, I love that you're like having these conversations at the state level in Texas. Because it's like, by the way, I'm so proud of us. Like, that y'all, like Mama Mephistopheles being an example of like y'all actually getting involved and like, but anyway, to be able to look at like, yo, see how Mansfield Independent School District are pissed off about all these stupid conservatives and all these fucking book bans and shit. So you, as the state government, can see that people within your state, enough to change an entire school district's process, they don't like what you're doing at the state level. So knock it the fuck off. I love that we have this happening. This is why local shit is so important. This is why I keep banging on about getting involved in things that you do have direct control over. Like, I know it's on the ballot for us here in Oregon, like a bunch of school district stuff. This is the time of year that they do that. So, you know, actually taking a moment to get to know the candidates for school district, making sure that none of them are associated with like 1 million moms or Moms for Liberty or something, because this is one of the ways in which conservatives are trying to take over the country, is by brainwashing all of our children, and we should not be letting that happen. So local elections like school board can not only make a difference in your local community, but then people like Mama Mephistopheles, who work for a nonprofit that goes to the Capitol to advocate for progressive causes, you can point to it and say, look, this is how people in your state feel. They're tired of your bullshit. She says, there's a guy who follows our school board education news who did a good write-up about this. I met him while testifying. He's a cool guy. Yeah, this is a Substack of someone from Texas called Frank Strong. Texas voters punish book banners at the polls. Voters across Texas clearly and consistently punished the people who have been restricting students' reading and learning. They delivered the message: Texans are sick of book bans, sick of attacks on educators and librarians, sick of leaders waging culture war battles at the expense of good governance. So yeah, that's great news. We love to hear it. I think that this shows us a similar, it kind of follows in the same pattern of, there have been some polls taken asking Republican voters in Republican states how they feel about like various things that the Republican Party is doing. And conservatives are saying, dude, we're tired of Republicans talking about trans people. Like, we don't care about this. So it seems like it's spreading, I guess, more and more, that if you are anti-trans overtly, your constituents don't want to hear about that. Your constituents want to hear you talk about what you're doing about grocery prices and teacher shortages and shit like that. Like, get out of here with these fucking book bans. Get out of here with, like, all these distractions that are not actually helping the economy in any way. Good stuff. Yeah, dude, I basically can't breathe through my nose during this time of year. I don't want to seem opportunistic, but there's a don't say gay bill / DEI ban for schools that's being heard on Tuesday, and we want folks to come testify against it. We're almost at the end of bills being able to go to committee, and every second counts. I did a video on it if you're interested. They've heard 2 book ban bills already, and this bill is even worse for students learning. Yeah, we can watch it. If you've posted a video, I would be cool with giving that some press. I don't know if there's anybody here who's from Texas, but it would be good to at least spread some awareness about it, share it on the social media and stuff. TikTok.
All right, Texas.
Okay, hold on. I gotta rest my voice and...
All right, Texas.
No! God, I hate TikTok. Oh my god, dude. So irritating. Dude. I don't know if I need to get some potassium or something. My eye is twitching like crazy. Headphones. Let's drink some water, babes. Hydration break. Hydration break. Thanks, Drea. Appreciate you coming in. Appreciate you donating. Appreciate you hanging out. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you. Oh, also, there's like 43 people in here, but only 32 likes. So could you all hit the like button really quick? It's free. It's quick. It's easy. It immediately tells YouTube to show the stream to more people. Ooh, yeah, I wanted to change something today. I forgot to change something. Oh, shoot. I want it to just, like, pick an auto thumbnail for the stream. Because I honestly think that the static thumbnail that we have right now probably hurts the streams. Maybe I'll take a little screenshot on Streamlabs or something real quick. And then upload a thumbnail. I just want to see if, like, posting my face in the thumbnails for the streams might help. And then we'll watch Mama Mephistopheles' video. Okay, I made a thumbnail. We'll see how that works. And now let's watch Mama's video while I'm changing that. Give me my headphones. Okay, here we go.
Another bad bill to testify against, SB 12. This bill is essentially a Don't Say Gay bill and a DEI ban for public K-12 schools rolled into one. It bans schools from teaching about sexual orientation or gender identity in any way whatsoever. It bans schools from implementing any kind of diversity, equity, or inclusion programs or training for their school employees. It would also ban school clubs from teaching anything DEI related and ban LGBT clubs entirely. This bill is
okay, so this is like, oh, we're not even gonna allow the students to have a gay-straight alliance, which is the oldest fucking anything in a school club setting for progressive causes. Like, oh my god, dude.
Making bigotry thrive in Texas public schools. It makes life much harder for teachers and other school employees who are people of color, women, or members of the LGBT community. Removing gender identity and sexual orientation from the school curriculum increases the stigma against LGBT people. It reinforces the idea that our existence is aberrant, and it allows parents to teach their children bigotry without any challenge. Banning queer clubs and banning instruction on gender identity and sexual orientation will make LGBT students feel even more alone and ashamed. Kids deserve better than this. Come stand with me against this bill at the Texas Capitol on Tuesday, May 13th at 8 a.m. in the John Reagan Building, room 140. You can register to testify using the kiosk right outside that room. If you don't have time to stay and testify, you can use that same kiosk to register your opposition to the bill by dropping a card. I hope to see y'all there. Let's go yell at some Republicans.
Yes. So I was actually just thinking about this and like just talking about this in the comments of one of my videos recently. The whole like, you shouldn't teach about trans people in schools because then kids might get ideas or something. And I'm like, the scientific position is that trans people are normal. Like, teachers are not going to give equal time to the flat earth theory as they give to the round earth theory, quote unquote, because it's an objective fact that the world is round. It is a scientific fact. So like, it's a scientific fact that trans people exist. And part of school is learning about different kinds of people that just happen to exist. And like, I think that it's really important to hammer in that the anti-trans position is the ideological position. It's like you're trying to infuse an ideological position into the curriculum in spite of all the facts, like in opposition to all the facts. And you sound like a fucking, you sound like a young earth creationist when you do this. Like, you sound like a young earth creationist, you sound like a flat earther. It's not like the job of public schools to like reinforce your personal at-home version of bigotry. That's not what schools are for. God, my hair is a little bit greasier than I wanted it to be for stream today. I saw someone get, it was a woman with curly hair, and she had this like clip that while her hair was drying, she like slid this clip up into her hair like this, and it just like, it held her hair right down here at her roots slightly up and like pointed up, so that when her hair dried, her curls like maintained volume, like that her hair maintained volume at the top, instead of like what happens with my hair, which is that the top goes flat because the hair weighs enough that it like pulls my hair down flat up here. But I need whatever that thingy is that made her hair dry up slightly so that it keeps volume up at the top like this. Complaining. We live in a post-truth world. I think religious indoctrination has normalized the idea that you can base your worldview on unfalsifiable beliefs. Objective fact is traded for a he said, she said kind of reality. I'm not sure if you can chalk it up only to religious indoctrination, because I've seen people do this just in general, but I do think that there is something going on with like the erosion of caring about what's actually true. Because this is like why transphobes can point to like a grand total of 3 studies compared to like thousands of studies that support trans people, and they can point at that and be like, look, I have information that supports my opinion. It's like, you don't have information that supports your opinion. You are gesturing to the idea of scientific inquiry. You are playing into a societal respect for the scientific process, and to some extent like the authority of the scientific community to justify a worldview that you had before you read that study. Like, you didn't like read a study and formulate an opinion based on the data. You had an opinion and you searched out information that would validate your feelings. And I don't know if for everybody that comes from a religious place, but I certainly, of course, still stand in opposition to religious indoctrination. I just think that it's an interesting, it's an interesting thing to think about. Joe Miller from The Expanse. I don't know this person. Joe Miller, The Expanse. From a TV show? Are you talking about this guy from the TV? Hold on. Are you just saying that I look like Thomas Jane? I don't hate that, but it's an interesting comparison that it's never been made before. I can see why you said that. The hair, for sure. I can see I can see where that happened. Nice. Mosh says, I don't think it's accurate to refer to this as an erosion because it's always been this way. Yeah, I guess, like, you do have to have a really kind of academic background to think that there has been any point in human history where a reliance on what is true as far as we're able to deduce through the scientific method, that is in any way culturally relevant to most people. I think it would be fair to say that for the majority of human history, that has not necessarily, I mean, that human beings are like pretty resistant in many cases to updating our opinion. If, it starts out like that there's a superstitious belief regarding like how to, it was like when ancient peoples would forge weapons, they would take like the burnt and ground up bones from animals and put it into the iron because they believed that the spirit of the animal would infuse into the metal and then be stronger. And what they actually did was made a primitive form of steel by mixing carbon in to the iron. So they were correct that mixing the bones in helped strengthen the steel, but they were incorrect that it was like a spiritual thing. It was a practical, physical change that was being made to the molecular structure of the iron. So people learn things. They're like, oh, here's actually the scientific reason why that works. And people are resistant to that explanation. And like there was resistance in the medical community to washing hands before performing surgery. A trans man popularized the like washing of hands before surgery. And I think also performed the first successful cesarean section in the UK. The only reason why wearing gloves became popularized in the medical community, even though someone had already said that wearing latex gloves should be mandatory if you're physically examining a patient. The only reason it became popularized, even though there was scientific proof that you should, was because doctors didn't want to catch AIDS from their patients. That's what popularized the wearing of vinyl gloves in the medical context. Yeah, bone metal for the win. Mama says, I think religious indoctrination is one of the main things that has normalized the idea that you are allowed to just believe whatever you want. Sure, yeah. I think that's fair. Dr. James Barry, the first successful C-section where everybody lived by a European, very trans, in the 1800s. Yes. Salute Dr. James Barry. Dude, you know what I would love is, Is there any portrait of him? Like, is this portrait actually James Barry? Because I would get a print of this portrait and put it in my house. like it's just now occurring to me that that's a thing that I would like to do, and I very strongly want to do that. I would absolutely hang like a really, really beautiful ornate frame around a print of the portrait of James Barry. This one is also apparently supposed to be a portrait of James Barry, and I don't think that I would put this one up. I don't think I would want this one in my house, but that's a preference. Is this a photograph? This seems to be a photograph of Dr. James Barry on the left, with John, a servant, yikes, and Barry's dog, whose name was Psyche, circa 1962 in Jamaica. That's fascinating. I would like the portrait the best. He lived long enough for photos. Wow. That's crazy. I love queer history. Queer history is so good. There apparently was some contemporary questioning as to whether Dr. Barry was intersex. Allegedly, one biographer writing, Dr. Barry couldn't have been a woman, for women and medicine were contradictory terms. It was still too much to imagine that any female could perform as brilliantly as Dr. Barry had done. It's crazy. Oh man, that's wild. But I would get a print of that portrait. I want that. I want that portrait in my house. I wonder how much it would cost to get the original. Probably way more money than I will ever have. Where is this? Where is this portrait? From Museum Africa in Johannesburg? I want to know where this portrait is. Okay, I don't really need to go down a rabbit hole of like trying to figure out where this portrait is because I want to do a bank heist or something. Wait. Dr. James Barry was apparently also notoriously grumpy and difficult to work with, but like so are the most famous doctors I know of from history. Yeah, it seems like he fit in exactly. He was exactly what a doctor was like in that personality sense. When Dr. Barry died, the lady who prepped his body for burial, quote, discovered the secret and tried to blackmail the physician for putting mail on the death certificate. He replied, it's nobody's business, but he was inspector of hospitals. Paraphrased. Wow. I love that he was so respected. I mean, so he's not like as prominent of a historical figure as he should be, considering that he pioneered hand washing and performed the first successful European cesarean section. But yeah, oh wait, this is a fucking New York Times article. I'm not going to read that. But that he was respected enough in his time that people mostly just shut the fuck up about it. And then later, historians picked it up and they were like, wow, it turns out that this famous doctor was a woman all along. I don't know. It's really annoying. Like that there are so many brilliant women who have pioneered things, including in the medical organizations and stuff. But then we can't let this be a win for trans people. Like someone can live as a man his entire life and like take it to his fucking grave. And then people are still like, girl boss. I love that we all just went down this random trans history rabbit hole. Listen, I like trans history. Yeah, look at how people in the modern age look at reproductive health care and germ theory. Yeah, the RFK, yeah, someone said it earlier that RFK is skeptical about germ theory. Which, again, like, theory in the scientific context means like something that has been proven beyond doubt. Like it would take a massive restructuring of everything we know to be true about the universe to change our minds about this. Like gravity, the theory of gravity doesn't mean like we think maybe gravity exists. It means we have so thoroughly demonstrated that gravity exists that there is absolutely no question as to whether it is real. So germ theory is theory in that way, where it's like everything we know about this is like as fucking solid as it's possible to be. Like there is no question that this is how the universe works. Like there might be additional information that will tweak our understanding further, but there is an extremely low likelihood that new information will completely subvert all of the other evidence that we have, or will completely recontextualize all the other evidence that we have. It just fucking is how it works. Germs are real. Microorganisms can harm us. I know people hear theory and they think like, oh, they mean like, I think maybe that's how it works. But like, just like it's a contextual difference. Trans history is amazing. It's a history of joy and beauty and community, and is also a history of fighters and survivors. Trans people are still here after everything the world has put us through. It gives me hope. Yeah. That's one of the great things about spontaneous human traits that develop independently of culture is like it just is a fact about human beings. I think that's basically what I said, Moshe. I do think it's really sad that we have like such a low lifetime expectation. Like that trans people are still affected by those things that cause us to have shorter lifespans. But it is still beautiful that we manage to burn so brightly while we are here. That was a really good tea. Oh, it's my favorite tea. It's delicious. A little bit of heavy cream, a little bit of honey. Oh, that's how I like my tea. That's how tea is good. Tea is good with cream and honey in it. I guess I could be using milk. I'm mostly using cream because it is oh my god, I keep doing this. I'm having a really hard time keeping my thoughts in my brain today. Yeah, trans people should all live up to be 200. Yes. Respectfully, I disagree. Theory and science is a way of describing phenomenon. The phenomenon of gravity is the observation that things fall. The theory of gravity is the best current model we have for explaining why. Scientists are just humble enough to say this is our best guess so far, not this is 100% the truth forever and can never be challenged. I think that maybe I didn't communicate what I meant very well, because like what I'm trying to describe is a scale of certainty. Like when people colloquially use the word theory, they mean like, I think that maybe this is the case. What I'm trying to describe is that like when we call something a theory in the scientific context, it is built on a body of evidence that so strongly support the idea, or like that the evidence comes together in a way that like creates an idea that is very difficult to disprove because all the evidence points in a particular direction. It like I'm trying to convey to a colloquial audience that this is basically a statement of almost absolute certainty as far as we can claim absolute certainty about anything in a scientific context. So I don't think you're disagreeing with me when I say, like, this is basically just like something becomes a scientific theory when there is a huge, overwhelming amount of evidence, and evidence that would contradict or completely recontextualize that theory would be very difficult. It would have to be mind-blowing. It would have to almost subvert our understanding of how the universe works, because something doesn't become a scientific theory until it's basically like, well, we've looked at all the evidence in like multiple different fields and we've come to these conclusions, and it seems like gravity is how space-time works. You know, like, so I don't think that anyone is disagreeing with me. I think we mutually understand that, like, what a scientific theory means. I'm just trying to create a context for certainty. Like, we call it germ theory because there is so much evidence for it that it is, like, as close to an objective fact as we can possibly have as scientists. Whoa. There are theories in science that are incorrect, as in Lamarckian evolution. They are still valid theories, but they have flaws. Okay, cool. The strength of a theory is to do with the evidence, not the theory itself. I'm going to stop talking about this now because I'm getting angry because I have repeatedly said that it has to do with the strength of the evidence, and it's like the theory doesn't exist until there is like a large volume of evidence for it. I feel like I'm being nitpicked when I'm like, that's what I fucking said. What I said was that it has to do with the evidence. That's what a theory... Okay, I'm done talking about this. Y'all are annoying me now. Federal judge says, oh, yeah. This was something that someone shared. I think this may have been a Mira share in the Discord. Federal judge says the results of North Carolina court race with Democrat ahead must be certified. So basically, in North Carolina, there's a Supreme Court race, which I am really unclear as to why we elect judges in some situations, but not in other ones. Not really sure why we do that. But anyway, there is a... Okay, and there's been an update on this since then. I think maybe that update was in a New York Times article, though, so I'm not going to read that because I don't have a subscription, and also fuck the New York Times. But, basically, there's an incumbent Democrat who I think that this has now been resolved in a way that's like, the GOP challenger finally conceded that he lost. 2 recounts showed that Riggs was the winner by just 734 votes over the Republican challenger, Jefferson Griffin. The judge delayed his order for 7 days in case Griffin wants to appeal the ruling to the Circuit Court of Appeals. So basically, they were trying to fuck over the Supreme Court in the state of North Carolina, and they've managed to fix it. So that's good news. Miro shared a couple things in the Discord channel this week that are like, here's good news stuff. That's just a theory, a game theory. True. Dr. Barry made it to his 70s in the 1800s. That is very, very respectable. Yes. Okay. I don't really have a lot to add, but like, oh yeah, I see that they tried to steal an election in North Carolina, just like the presidential election. Anyway, But yeah, the dude finally conceded. Oh yeah, the trans military ban has finally like fully kicked in. That's a little fun fact. My gosh, you guys, can we get to 50 likes today? That's what I want. I want to get to 50 likes. And if we can get to $100 in donations, that would be cool. But I understand that y'all have spent money on your mothers today, so I'm not going to bitch too much. I want to get a copy of Switched On Bach by Wendy Carlos on vinyl really bad. She was doing HRT and had top surgery around the same time she completed the album. She had to glue facial hair on her face for television appearances because of having had permanent hair removal already. She came out a year or two after she received a Grammy for the album. This was a trans woman, by the way, Wendy Carlos. In many ways, she was the pioneer that created many of the original synthesizers herself, building the most advanced Moog synthesizer ever to exist. I personally think she is responsible for dubstep because she built the original electronic sounds for us. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? To have been, she's responsible for dubstep? Is that a curse on her legacy, or? I don't have a mom, but I'm eternally broke anyway. True. I hope Dr. Ben will be okay. Ben has already been looking into some other options. He is a doctor. He specializes in kidney medicine. He can absolutely get a job. This is the problem with the military ban, is that it's going to remove some of the most skilled people in the military. That's like one of the biggest problems with it. So you have somebody like Dr. Ben, who is a highly skilled doctor in the military, and they're kicking him out. And there's other people as well who are like high-ranking officers, people who work in research and development, people who you fucking want. You need that expertise in the military. And they're just going to kick out a bunch of people who are like career military people, like people who've been serving for a long ass time. So yeah, it's really fucking stupid. But Ben is going to be fine. Ben has qualifications, and you know, if he really gets desperate, he can do TACUS more often. We make money doing TACUS. Mama says, I've seen some leftists flirting with the Washington Post, but fuck them too. They posted basically a puff piece for the anonymous Health and Human Services anti-trans healthcare report. Excuse me, Aaron Reed posted a thing about it if anyone wants to read more. Yeah, I'll have to look into it. This is the danger of being a scientist and couching your language. You trade persuasiveness for strict accuracy. General relativity and the standard model are great theories with strong explanatory power, but they also can't explain everything and are mutually exclusive. So at least one or both of them are wrong. But the theory is wrong is distinct from scientists don't know anything. But when someone hears the former, they jump to the latter, even if that doesn't follow. Says the hopefully soon to be published scientist. Yes, I know. Like, this is the thing about science communication. Science communication, in order to be informative and effective and persuasive, has to cut out some of the bullshit details. Like, this is why everybody grows up believing that XY equals boy and XX equals girl, because for the purposes of science communication, we simplify ideas sometimes. So yes, like, I simplify the concept of a theory because the point that I'm trying to make is that a theory is a theory in science. Like when we're talking about the theory of gravity or germ theory or fucking the theory of evolution, like those theories are built on a body of evidence that is so consistent that it would be almost impossible to subvert it in its entirety, basically. So like there is a difference in certainty that I'm trying to convey. And while I may like lose some of the strictest possible accuracy, I think that the message of there's a fucking difference between a colloquial theory and a scientific theory gets muddled if I get too in the weeds. Like when the point that I'm trying to make is that this is built on a body of evidence. Hashtag blame Wendy, true. I know a few transgender veterans, and they are worried about their benefits, although that's up in the air, but I don't know any active duty trans folks. I'm pissed about it. Yeah, it's really annoying. I have not seen that one guy Nick's video about this on TikTok. I don't think I have seen it. Is that might be something that Aaron Reed posted about. Let's see. Trans man delivers powerful rebuke of military ban. Yeah, okay. So Aaron Reed, or S. Baum on the Aaron Reed website covered this, so we can talk about it in a minute. I interviewed for a job recently, and if I get it, I will gift so many subs. Max, I'm so happy for you. I hope you get it. Listen, okay, hold on. Real quick. I'm going to pull a tarot card for all of us who are searching for new opportunities right now. Everybody here who is like, I'm applying for a new job, or I'm thinking about moving. Everybody who is facing some kind of change, somebody that you're trying to, if you're trying to like start a new journey or something, like let's do a 1-card pull. Because I'm about to apply for a social media position where I would be making like 3 times as much money as I make right now. So I want to draw a card. I want to get something. Okay, I'm pulling the 1 card. I've pulled 10 of chalices, which was in the reverse position, but I want to read it. Oh, hold on, I'll show it to you. 10 of chalices. So the chalices in this deck has a mermaid theme. So she's like coming out of the water, and then there's a marriage thing happening over here. I don't know. What is this card about? What is the 10 of chalices? Don't fall on the floor. Upright, the 10 of chalices says, there is finally an overarching sense of harmony in your life. Though the journey has been long, you have materialized your hopes and desires in ways you may not have expected. You may not have gotten everything that you wanted, but you have found love and fulfillment in the relationships you have built along the way. In the reverse position, which is how it showed up to me, it says, there is something barring the road to complete happiness. You are close to fulfilling your wishes, but you have neglected to tie up a few loose ends. You cannot fully enjoy your achievements because there is lingering regret and discord. Reappraise your accomplishments and take stock of where your agency was either honored or thwarted. I feel like that one didn't really... Chalices in this deck is really like relationship oriented. I think it's a message that's like, relax and let the opportunity come to you. That's like the message that I'm taking from this. Dot your T's, cross your I's, and chill the fuck out. That's what I'm taking from that. A theory can be described as a model that works to make accurate predictions. We can refine the model or update the theory, but it's super rare to junk a theory entirely. Yes, totally. My cat is screaming in the other room. Hey! I'm gonna have to go get him. Punk ass bitch. Okay, he's done now, I think. Punk ass bitch. Anyway. Yeah, is this a video? Yeah, let's watch this video from a trans guy talking about the trans military ban. Let's go. I think I am going to be on the Transatlantic Call-In show this week, by the way, if anybody's curious. I think I'm going to be on like 2 more times this month. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is a 7-minute video.
Today I'm not okay.
Oh, this audio fucking sucks, dude.
2 days ago, the Supreme Court ruled on the injunction. Placed a stay
which, by the way,
on the injunction that
oh my God, can you shut up? Like, every lower court that has reviewed this has basically said, like, you can't make this rule because there is such an obvious animus. Like, there is obviously ill will to saying that all trans people are dishonorable and dishonest and lack integrity to perform in the way that our military requires. And it is obvious animus, and the Supreme Court is an illegitimate institution. So that's kind of where we're at with this.
Did trans service members from discharge. Today, Secretary Hegseth released his policy for the DoD. And it outlines and paves the way for discharges to begin within 60 days.
Thank you very much, Mama. Oh my goodness. Says, I have a salary now, so I'm gonna splurge on the homies. Yes, thank you so much for 5 gifted tier 1 subs. Mersh, Dream, She Who Knows No Name, Roses, and Entheogenic Esoterica. Enjoy your gifted subs. So many more people with fun color names now. Yes, and also thank you to Zypation, who subscribed with a tier 4 sub. Gee, mini Christmas, y'all. That was... Did that just shoot us over the goal? I'm gonna have to check. Okay, so that was a $25 donation followed by a $40 donation, which puts us over the goal now, I think. I can't fucking think straight. Hold on. Am I doing math? Can I do math? I don't want to. I don't like it. 48 plus 40 plus 25 brings us up to the 113. I knew it brought us over. I just didn't know what it brought us to because I'm not capable of multitasking like that. $113 out of today's stream goal. I can go get the cat if you want. But we usually start with a flex. Ooh, baby. Thank you both. Okay, there we go. Never work for the government. Well, it's like, it's supposed to be a really stable form of employment, and usually it is a relatively stable form of employment. I like the idea of working for a state or local government, because those are even more stable. But yeah, anyway. Goofy goobers. Where's my water? Hold on. We drink water, and then we flex. We also got to 50 likes, and I wasn't even looking. Thank you. I haven't really been focusing on the biceps. They're just getting... I guess I do one bicep isolation. Dude, can I just say that... So I'm trying to lose some fat while maintaining muscle mass, which means that I need to get, like, at least 135 grams of protein every day. And it's extremely difficult to get that much protein. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's really hard and it sucks. Like, my giant triceps. I'm learning how to flex my shoulders too. I'm like, how do I make my shoulders look bigger? Like, that's definitely a flex in the shoulders. I just need to pump those numbers up. Anyway, hope everybody enjoys. If I ever get to have arms like yours, I'll be a happy camper. Some of this is just natural. My mom also had really big biceps. And I'll also, like, some of the appearance of bigness in my arm is because I have fat under here. Like, even flexing, there's still, like, some fat. So, anyway. Mersh says, the federal government has always been a little shady to work for over many years, depending on what department you work for. The Defense Department and the Department of Energy are two who really play games in my experience. Oh, okay. There was an interview by the Majority Report with someone whose entire education was dedicated to becoming someone who works for the government in labor law. Now they're out of a career that was supposed to be something they dedicated their life to. Yeah, that's crazy. That is a ton of protein. You're telling me, like, I weigh about 160 pounds. So the goal is to get, like, you're supposed to get, like, 1 gram of protein for every pound. Or, like, 0.8 grams for every pound. So if I do 0.8 grams for every pound, then I'm going to be, it's like 140 grams of protein in a day. And it's fucking really hard to hit those numbers. If you grab your wrist behind your back and pull downward. Is that what we want to see? Was that like a good? Do I actually have like really meaty triceps? Is that what we're discovering? Anyway. Or am I supposed to grab the other wrist? Is it supposed to be the other wrist? Anyway, whatever. Glad everybody enjoyed. I can go get the cat if you want. I don't know where he is. I'm presuming he's in the bedroom. What with all the screaming that he was doing. I don't really even know what his deal is. Sometimes it's like, why are you... I literally walk into the room and I'm like, why were you screaming? You're just on the bed. Mira says, I was in the military and, quote, normally, it's almost impossible to lose that job unless you really, really mess up or you have a medical condition that makes you leave. Yeah. Okay, let's continue watching this. This dude doesn't talk very fast, and I don't think there's a way for me to speed this up. I can speed it up! Oh my god, you talk too slow. I'm sorry, dude.
Which for me means that a career that I've been working for going on 18 years is going to be stripped away from me within the next 6 months. To have something that you have worked so hard for such a massive portion of your life, dedicating energy and mental stability and missing holidays and birthdays and major life events, to have it taken.
Yo, that's okay. So here's the thing: is this is applicable whether you work in the military or not. If you have a job that is causing you to miss out on family, you're gonna regret that later in your life. So like, it doesn't matter how much money you make right now. If you don't take adequate time to spend with your friends and family and on doing things that you actually care about, that job will fuck you over in the future. Like, you will become, you are expendable, but there will come the day where you are expendable, like that day, like this. And then you'll just be like, what was even the point of all those sacrifices I made? There wasn't a point to all those sacrifices you made. It was never going to be the right choice for you to make. So I don't know what to tell you, but don't like sacrifice your family time and your important events and shit for any job. It doesn't matter how passionate you are about that job. Don't do it. Yeah, of course, Mama. If you can come back and hang out with us again in the future, that would be great. But I'm really happy that you're doing something that is like, you're doing well. Because I know that you were worried for a little bit, and it's great to hear that you've been absent because you're succeeding in your career and not because something bad happened to you or something. So, yay. That's always good. I guess maybe I should be on TikTok more often to actually see your posts, because you post there. But yes, thanks for hanging out, and thanks for donating, and I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope we see you again soon. Yeah, Mersh basically agreeing with me, saying the federal government has no problem with using you and then discarding you. Patriotism and loyalty don't pay the bills, unfortunately, and they are not valued by the government if you are LGBTQIA+, a woman, or anyone that they lump under DEI. White, cis, and male Christian is all that the government values these days. Yeah. Just don't do it for any job. It's not worth it, man.
Way for something that is arguably a political act. I've worn my uniform every day since 2013. Every day. Prior to that, I enlisted in 2007. 2 deployments in that time frame. I worked full-time as a technician during that time period. I've done a lot of time. And I did all of it because I knew that at the end of my career, there were going to be benefits that would set me up for success so that I wouldn't have to struggle. I gave up freedoms and choices and things that my friends and those around me, my family, enjoyed. I gave that up because I knew that at the end of my career that something better was coming and it's being taken away.
What was he just banking on having like the military pension? Is that what he's saying? Like something better was coming? I don't know. That's like, you can't hold out that you're going to get to live your life the way you want to live it when you're retired.
And if you told me it was because I couldn't serve, I'm physically capable of doing this job. I've done it. More than half of my career has been as an out trans person. I have transitioned for the last 9 years of an almost 18-year career. I've been deployable the whole time. I've done my job successfully. I've gotten awards and ribbons and accolades and been successful. If you were to tell me that it was because I'm physically incapable of doing this job, I would accept it. But you're telling someone who is physically capable of doing the job that they are incompatible with military service because of the person that they are. I'm not a perfect person.
You get retirement benefits at 20 years. Yeah. Yeah. Check back after June 2nd. Yes. I'm sending you so much positive energy. I'll light a candle for you later. Hopefully you succeed at everything that you mean to do over the next month. So I salute you. I know you're working hard. That's probably why Josie is not getting back. He may be losing his retirement 2 years shy of it. Oh man, that's such bullshit. He's like, literally, I was 2 years away from getting like my full benefits. Oh man, that sucks. Oh, that's a fucking bummer. Ugh.
And I'm not a perfect soldier. But what I do is I strive to put the needs of others before me, before my own needs. And I've done that for a very long time. I have helped grow the force as a recruiter. I've trained thousands of soldiers. I have spoke highly of the military to people who are unsure. I have defended the actions of the DoD to have the DoD spit in my face. Some of you are going to be happy that we're being discharged. And to you, I'm saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you haven't gotten to know soldiers like me and like my friends who want nothing more.
Also, the veterans' medical benefits. Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, he's going to lose that on that too. Well, I mean, you know, we are already, like Mira G in the chat has already been struggling to get medical care stuff covered through the VA, even though the prescriptions that were ordered before any of these changes went through. So we've already been seeing issues with the VA.
Than to wear the uniform. In a time when we are struggling to find people to volunteer to do this. We are begging to be allowed to continue our service, and you're just going to wash us away. So today I'm not okay. And I don't know when I'm going to be okay. Because I'm terrified of what comes tomorrow. Because for 18 years I put a uniform on and done my job. And
I mean, again, the good thing is if you have 18 years of experience in the military, then I feel like you probably have, and as a technician, he said he's a technician of some kind. I'm like, you have demonstrated, so any civilian level employment is going to be like, okay, you've demonstrated that you can stick with a shitty job for this long and you are bringing expertise. So like, yeah, of course we're going to hire you. I feel like these people who are deep in their careers like this, obviously obviously it doesn't feel good to lose your job, but you have expertise that's going to be desirable in the civilian sphere. Like, I think you're going to be probably okay.
Known what was going to happen almost every day of my career because that's what this job is. And now I don't even know what the job market looks like in a time when people are already struggling to find work. And all I want to do is just finish my time. Do my job. But it's going to be taken away. I'm not okay. But tomorrow I'm going to put my boots on and I'm going to go to work. Because that's what's the right thing to do. And maybe next week.
Yeah, that's a good point too, Mersh. Everyone's going to know that he was let go for political reasons and not because he is incompetent at his job. But that's the thing that sucks is, like, I think that for every trans person, this is a dishonorable discharge.
I'll take some time to figure out what I'm going to do in a month. Because I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, that does fucking suck. And it basically confirms, yeah, that, like, trans people are inherently unfit to serve, like, by virtue of who they are dishonorable and dishonest. Like, that's the official position of the federal government now. Like, the Supreme Court has confirmed it. Military credentials don't always translate. I had to use my GI Bill to go to college to prove I already held knowledge. Yeah, well, so credentials might not translate, but for a lot of jobs, it's like experience, an equivalent amount of experience can also be good. So if you've been in the military, honestly, like, if Ben wasn't a doctor, I would say he's in a worse position than this guy, Nick, because Ben only just recently became a doctor in the last couple years. Before he was a medical student and then, like, working in the medical field, but he only recently became a doctor. Whereas this guy has like 18 years of technical experience. So even if his, actual credentials in the military don't translate out, he could probably easily get credentials or get hired in a sphere that doesn't require credentials, but will allow him to work based on experience. But, obviously I'm not trying to, like, I guess I am functionally downplaying it a little bit. I'm like, I think that the people are most likely going to be able to find work elsewhere. That, of course, is like, it's still difficult to be searching for a job and to feel like you're in between things and to feel like the thing that was stable has now gone. And maybe he had an idea of what he wanted to do with the last 30 years of his life after getting to retire from the military. And now that feels out of reach because he won't get his pension. Mira says, I went military before college, and that was to get hands-on electronics repair experience on top of my engineering degree. Yeah, the hands-on experience stuff can make a huge difference. Let's see what else Aaron has for us today. Later, Mersh. Have a good rest of your day. Appreciate y'all coming to hang out, even though it's Mother's Day and stuff. Like, y'all are the real ones. Coming to hang out, spend some time with the Horties. So I guess I'm entering a chaos kind of part of my career where, like, I posted... I'm just gonna start posting, like, much more random videos, and, like, I am gonna be chaotic with my thumbnails and, like, maybe not even try to do official, like, good-looking thumbnails. Maybe I'll just take, like, unhinged screenshots from the videos and make them into thumbnails. I don't know, but I'm just gonna start throwing whatever at the wall for a little bit. I want to watch some movies and talk about the movies and talk about books and stuff. We're just gonna see what happens. Mira says, I believe that trans people who were discharged under the last ban in 2016 were eventually able to get their discharges upgraded to honorable discharges, which will restore their veterans' benefits at least. Yeah, Jiminy Christmas. Mother's Day is bad for me like 4 times over, so I'm thankful for the company. Yeah, it's been difficult. I mean, it has been in the past difficult. I felt sensitive about Mother's Day. I don't talk to my mom anymore. She was physically abusive. We don't have a relationship. But I don't really think about it that much anymore, I guess. Is mainly the thing that has happened, is I just don't think about it that much. I think that technically the Supreme Court decision is like they've ended the injunction that a lower court put in, but they did kick it back to the lower court to decide like the actual constitutionality of the case. I don't know. Did they refuse to determine whether it's actually constitutional? They just said like it's okay for you to fire these people in the meantime that it's still being litigated. I fucking hate that. I fucking hate the outcomes of living in this country. It's fucking bullshit. Why did this YouTube video get shared? Drew Tanuki, why did you share this YouTube video? Danielle Smith's ridiculous fight against Canada. I don't know who this is. Oh, stream chat. What? Oh, T-Shop. Okay, cool. Yes. Neat. She's not here anymore. I don't know who Steve Boots is. Should we just watch this video?
Bad at her job. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is just impossibly bad at her job.
Okay,
Frankly, it's remarkable how bad she is. And today I want to take some time to talk about her latest incredible boondoggle. Her focus on Alberta separation, because it is bonkers for a bunch of reasons.
Okay.
And yesterday, she made a big announcement about all of her grand plans for...
She wants to separate Alberta from the rest of Canada? This is the first I'm hearing about this. There's somebody, she's the premier in the province of Alberta. She's outlining the province's next steps following the Liberal win in the federal election. So, like, I guess Alberta is, like, kind of a conservative-leaning province, and now they're like, we're going to secede from Canada? What?
Alberta, and they are exactly as terrible as you would expect. So first up, the context. Danielle Smith has been an absolutely catastrophic leader for Alberta. She has slashed public spending on tons of different services, underfunded public services significantly, been subject to multiple scandals, and spent enormous sums of money on her own personal luxury and comfort.
That sounds like a Republican to me.
Popsicles for cancer patients? Can't afford those. New carpet for Danielle Smith's office? Reportedly, we've got $280,000 for that. But it had rips, stains, and tears, so had to go. And there's no option except $250,000.
Did a kitty jump into the window? That was nice. I enjoyed that.
Her carpet job. Danielle Smith is also incredibly embroiled in scandal. Her government is under 6 different investigations for ongoing scandals in the healthcare system. Alberta is also experiencing a massive measles outbreak, one of the largest in recent history.
Ew.
We also learned that it cost the public more than $10,000 to send Danielle Smith to Mar-a-Lago to grovel to Donald Trump. She also went and did an appearance for PragerU on the public dime. She has been absolutely surrounded by scandal pretty much constantly, which brings us to the strategy she's using. You see, the strategy that Danielle Smith is using is an old Boris Johnson strategy. You remember Bojo, the incredibly incompetent mayor of London who became an incredibly incompetent prime minister and is now a trivia question in history books? He shared a political strategy called the dead cat strategy, and I'm just going to explain it to you in his words. Let us suppose you are losing an argument. The facts are overwhelmingly against you, and the more people focus on the reality, the worse it is for you in your case. Your best bet in these circumstances is to perform a maneuver that a great campaigner describes as, quote, throwing a dead cat on the table, mate. That is because there is one thing that is absolutely certain about throwing a dead cat on the dining room table, and I don't mean that people will be outraged, alarmed, disgusted. That is true, but irrelevant. The key point, says my Australian friend, is that everyone will shout, geez, mate, there's a dead cat on the table. In other words, they will be talking about the dead cat, the thing you want them to talk about, and they will not be talking about the issue that has been causing you so much grief. And so that's what Danielle Smith is doing with Alberta separatism. She's thrown Alberta separatism on...
My 2 BFFs compare Alberta to Eastern European and South Asian conservatism, being like their conservative home countries. Also, hey y'all, what's up, Eric? Hello. Yeah, that's really interesting. I knew that there were, of course, conservative places in Alberta. I just didn't know that they were doing dumb shit like talking about seceding.
on the table, knowing that it will not be popular enough to succeed, but that it's enough to change the channel. But more than that, she's actually changed the surrounding situation to make it more likely to succeed. But she called a press conference to announce her plans going forward, and they basically boil down to a couple of things. One is her demand that the resource industry basically be given carte blanche in Alberta. All the pollution you can eat. She's also demanded that Alberta be provided with permanent access to tidewater with no restrictions or guidances. Reminder, Alberta is a landlocked province. You don't just get to demand ocean access. The whole point of federalism is that you have that already. You just have to cooperate, because it's in other provinces. You don't just get to wander into somebody else's province and do whatever you want, no matter how much you think you can. Alberta wouldn't put up with that, so why do they think that other provinces should? And she's demanding that the federal government make a bunch of changes that they just won an election saying that they weren't going to change. She wants to remove Bill C-69, which requires environmental consultation.
Oh my God, I love that. Like, oh yeah, she wants them to do a bunch of things that they just got elected saying that they weren't going to do those things. They got elected by, meaning that people wanted them to not do those things. And she's like, yeah, well, now that you're in power, why don't you do them anyway? Like, are you for real, lady? Oh my God. I didn't know that you had crazy people in Canada like this.
Resource projects. She wants to remove all restrictions on use of plastics, get rid of electric vehicle mandates, and ending what she calls the restriction on the free speech of resource companies. A reminder, the only restriction on the free speech of energy companies that anyone's even tried to implement was Charlie Angus's bill that was meant to prevent them from lying to you. And that bill didn't even get passed, so it appears that energy companies can continue to lie to you with impunity. So what is Danielle Smith actually doing here? The answer is trying to distract you. This is trying to draw attention away from her many, many ongoing failures. Now, to be clear, that doesn't mean that this doesn't matter. This matters a lot. She has created a huge problem to distract from her other ongoing huge problems. But this is a dead cat strategy if I've ever seen one. Create a huge problem that everyone has to react to, so they stop reacting to the other huge problems you've created. And at least this problem motivates her base a little bit. So the first question is, how realistic is this prospect? And the answer is, not very. For starters, Alberta separatism doesn't appear to have enough support to leave Canada, and this is mostly just going to be noise and bluster. But the other primary obstacle is that groups representing Treaty 6, 7, and 8 have all spoken up and said that they will not take part in leaving Canada. And Danielle Smith has insisted that her referendum plan is going to honor treaty rights, but there is absolutely no plan for how those are going to be honored. And when she was asked about them, she was incredibly dismissive. She essentially said it'll be fine. But here's the thing. Those different groups representing Treaty 6, 7, and 8 don't have treaties with the provincial government. Those treaties are signed with the federal government. They were signed before Alberta was even an idea. Before there was an Alberta, there were treaties. And so to try to supersede those treaties is ridiculous. They don't have the power to do that, and they will not be able to separate without the different treaty groups agreeing to separate. So this is all already a moot point. The problem is Danielle Smith doesn't really care about rules. She's made that extremely clear. So while there is an extraordinarily strong legal claim for these different treaty groups to stand in the way of separatism, and they're absolutely right for standing up against Danielle Smith and doing the right thing here, we can't rely on Danielle Smith following conventions and norms. Unfortunately, something being against the rules
this is the thing that is so difficult about Republicans right now is we all have this agreement to follow the rule of law, and when one party is just I don't give a shit about that, you can't hold me to that standard anymore, it's oh well, now now there's a breakdown, and how to address that. I mean, you arrest the people who are no longer participating in the social contract, but whatever.
Necessarily enough to stop her. These announcements from Treaty 6, 7, and 8 are incredibly important because they add another massive obstacle to Danielle Smith doing whatever she wants. What I'm really getting at here is that while these are valuable, we can't rely on them stopping her because she isn't exactly known for following norms or respecting jurisdiction. They're an important tool in the fight, but they don't end the fight. But it's pretty clear that Danielle Smith is at least moderately serious about this. She is going to be instituting yet another Alberta-based panel. Remember in 2019 when Jason Kenney did his Fair Deal panel, which he used as an excuse to get a bunch of politically aligned people to make a bunch of demands of Ottawa and nothing really came of it? Yeah, we're doing that again. But this time it's going to be called the Alberta Next panel. So it's going to be different because it's next. Danielle Smith during this press conference said, quote, "The world looks at us like we've lost our minds." And yes, Danielle, they do. But not because you get ripped off. It's because you've assumed a constant position of victimhood. Nobody feels bad for you. You're the richest province in the country and you waste your money at rates far greater than other provinces. You spent $250,000 on the carpet for your office and then claim that your government can't afford it.
Oh my God, again, this is exactly the Conservative Party in Canada is literally just the fucking Republican Party here, where they bitch about government spending, but then they spend money on lavish shit that nobody needs. They're we don't have enough money for oh my God, my hip hurts so much. They're we don't have enough money for kids to get healthcare, but we have enough money to furnish my entire mansion. Okay, great.
Anything. You could cover all this stuff if you're willing to just, tax your population, or just throwing it out there, make resource companies pay their fair share. But now we're not doing that. We're just going to tear Canada apart instead. And this really is entirely for the benefit of the resource industry. And this gets to the heart of the problem. Albertans have been convinced that their fates and the fate of the resource industry are inseparable. And they're not even necessarily wrong. Danielle Smith and successive governments before hers have failed to diversify the Alberta economy and left it incredibly dependent on oil and gas. And so as oil and gas prices go down, people struggle and they look for someone to blame. The oil industry has been bombarding Albertans with propaganda for decades because there's basically unrestricted advertising. And folks, it is hard to express out west just how propagandized you are by the resource industry. I was given oil company pogs when I was a kid. It is incredibly common to see I Heart Oil and Gas on the windows of cars or people wearing them on bunny hugs.
Wow.
Yes, I'm calling it a bunny hug. The problems run deep here. People are very defensive of the oil industry out here because they become convinced that the oil industry is just the economy. It's their economic fates. And unless we diversify these economies and actually build them out to be something more than just resource hinterlands, it's not going to get better. But that's what Danielle Smith wants to do. She just wants carte blanche for the industry. so they can do whatever they want, get richer and richer while Albertans stay put. Because I'll ask Albertans, if you give all these new powers to the resource industries, what reason is there to believe you'll get a cut? What reason is there to believe that you'll get your fair share of all these incredible sums of money that the oil industry makes? Oil development in Alberta has been steadily growing for years. Your oil industry is making money hand over fist. Do you know where all that money is going? It ain't you. It's stock buybacks. Rather than reinvesting in infrastructure or staff, the oil industry is just pulling money out. They're paying it directly to stockholders by buying back stocks. Drives up stock prices, drives up the value of the company, and doesn't require the company to actually build or develop anything. It's just free money forever as long as you're willing to exploit a whole bunch of people in order to do it. So Danielle Smith is setting off on her Alberta Next panel, which she's going to chair because of course she is, and she is already working to change the rules. At present, you need 20% of the province to sign on to force a referendum. She is lowering that number to 10% to make it easier to separate.
Eric says, literally my entire life, the narrowing of the Alberta economy has been a major political topic in Canada. Can confirm oil towns there are scary. Yeah, I mean, it is pretty much what any resource extraction does is it, it ties itself into the identity of the local area. It takes all the natural resources out. It funnels all of the money out. And like the problem that he just mentioned where there's not reinvestment, this is part of why we have issues. It's part of a very small part, I think, of why we have issues with fires on the West Coast is like, the energy companies are making money every year, but then the electrical infrastructure is not being updated. So there's old stuff and the old stuff malfunctions or it comes down during storms. And then, you have places that are out of power and you've got to do all this work to scramble to get things halfway functional again, as opposed to, investing in a large infrastructure improvement project, which would take a lot of money and possibly several years. And then that's 3 years where the investors aren't making 300% profits. And that's not acceptable, right? So Canada, we're like this. The issues that we're dealing with.
Separate from Canada. Now, of course, she claims that she doesn't support Alberta separating from Canada. She's just going to promote the idea, chair a panel on it, and potentially lead a referendum on it. But she doesn't support it, obviously. How could you think that? I could see how her actions and words would make you think she supports that, but since she said she doesn't support it, you should probably just believe her. So here's the thing. Danielle Smith is demanding that Mark Carney do everything that Pierre Poilievre said he was going to do and lost. This is just sour grapes. Mark Carney won a federal election saying that he was going to move forward with his policy agenda, and now Danielle Smith is demanding that he change his entire policy agenda. So Danielle Smith, if you're watching this, and I'm pretty sure you are, a very important reminder. Scoreboard. Your side lost the election. You can't just demand that you get all of the policies that just lost a democratic election implemented. That's not how any of this works. This is just attempting to tear Canada apart for cheap political gain. It won't work, and Danielle Smith knows that. But she doesn't care. She's going to waste a tremendous amount of time and taxpayer money in order to score cheap political points, to run a referendum that's going to get, maybe 30% support tops and continue to serve as a national embarrassment. Genuinely, if you live in Alberta, did you see what happened with Brexit? They're collapsing their own economy because of their own incompetence. They knew that it was a bad idea for their economy to leave the European Union, and they did it anyways because a bunch of bad actors spent years propagandizing the population about it. And now the entire public has to live with the consequences, because you'll notice when Danielle Smith is talking about separation, she doesn't mention any benefits to ordinary Albertans. She doesn't mention improving services, infrastructure, any of that. It's all about the oil industry because she doesn't care about you. She cares about oil and apparently carpeting. There is nothing in separation for ordinary Albertans. This is just free money for the oil industry. That's all it ever is with Danielle Smith, because she doesn't care about ordinary Albertans. She cares about money, power, and more than anything, she cares about the resource industry. It is disgraceful. If you are Albertan, how do you listen to this press conference that doesn't actually mention you or your needs and think, yeah, that's what I want. More freedom for the oil sector. That'll turn things around. What reason is there to believe that it would benefit you? What reason is there to believe that the oil industry would give you a cut of their new profits? What reason is there to believe that Danielle Smith will make sure your needs are met? She hasn't started yet. Why believe it would change now? Alberta separation is a distraction. It is a distraction from Danielle Smith's ongoing failures. It's a very real problem that she's created and one that we can't ignore, but she is using this incredibly politically cynically. And frankly, the fact that nobody within the UCP is speaking up is disgraceful. The only way she can sustain her political position is by framing the federal government as an enemy. So no matter what new policies Mark Carney rolls out, Danielle Smith is going to keep trying to frame the federal government as the enemy, because as long as there's an enemy to blame everything on, she's hoping the public won't figure out what's her fault. But instead, like Danielle Smith said, quote, "The world looks at us like we've lost our minds." Not everyone, Danielle Smith. Just you. Take care of yourselves, folks.
True. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was very illuminating because I did not realize that stuff is as crazy in Canada as it is down here. Yeah, I always kind of figured that Canada was a few years behind us. And I guess that still puts them a few years behind us if there's only one or two, maybe handful of politicians who are extreme and are viewed as extreme fringe, as opposed to it being normalized for the whole government. I mean, to be fair, yeah, the Canadian voters got an opportunity to see what it would look like to put in a conservative right now, given the overall values of conservatism. And they had a very short time to see what was happening in our country and go, oh, fuck, we don't want that, actually. let's vote for a liberal government because everything that's been going on in the United States has been crazy. So let's not do that. I'm like, okay, good. So parts of the world are at least going to be able to see what we're doing and go, I identify that as something that I do not want to do. I identify that as something that would not benefit me or my country. Would not be a good time. Oh gosh. Okay, I'm gonna take my little break. I'm gonna go refill my water and stuff. So I'll be back in just a minute, and let's pull up some more Jazz Dog for you to listen to while I am gone. I need this to move over here so that I can see. Okay, yeah. All right, back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. Welcome back to the show. To me. Anyway, most of Canada even more so, doesn't get how bad shit can be here, and US politics used as a distraction against the Alberta and block problems is growing. Oh yeah, good point. What's up, Mobius? Yeah, it is. I guess it's a way of helping pull you guys. I mean, this is the whole idea behind the Overton window. As the United States normalizes more and more extreme politics, our neighbors can, first of all, they can point to that and go like, oh, we're not as extreme as that. Our conservative ideals are reasonable, while continuing to pull further and further to the right. And in some cases it's also like, oh, look at this. Like if our economy was strong right now because of everything that Trump is doing, it would be an easier argument to make that like, oh, well, we should also become insane conservative people because that would be better for our economy. Hello, Noah. Yes, we're still going. So my plans have not changed right now as far as how often we're going to stream and how long the shows are going to be. The plan still is to do a 4-hour stream every time we stream until I get another job. So I'm looking, I'm not just like applying at any old job. I'm applying for a specific position that would be paid very well and would be relevant to my skill sets. So I'm going to do that, and I fucking hope I get it. I really think I will. So once I start a new job, then I will revisit the schedule as far as streams go. But for now, that's the plan. 11 a.m. on Sundays to 3 p.m. Pacific time. And then on Wednesdays from 2 to 6 Pacific time. Occasionally they will be a little bit shorter, or I'll skip one because I'm like tired or something. But for the most part, that's the intent until like July. You know, we'll revisit in July and see if there's an update. Or maybe June. I guess June. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Let me see if there's anything else that I have written down as a thing we should talk about today. None of these have been like official segments either. This is all just shooting the shit. We're talking about the politics, but not in a way that means I have to edit this fucking video tomorrow. And I haven't had any random, oh, that was a really good point segments that I want to clip out. I do have 2 that are going to come out this week. There's the one where I was talking about Z for Zachariah, and one where I was talking about the Hunger Games. We were just kind of shooting the shit last stream, and I was like, yeah, I do want to talk about this. I do want to like edit that and put those out. We'll see how they do. Oh, I'm interested in this article. The moderate case. I don't know what this means. So Aaron has posted a thing that says the moderate case against transgender sports bans. I am not sure what she means by a moderate case against trans sports bans. Polling suggests that even some Democrats expressed discomfort with the issue of trans people in sports, though whether voters actually want lawmakers legislating it is a different question. Some of my readers fall into this uneasy middle: moderates with trans friends or family members, people who want to support trans rights broadly but still feel uncertain when it comes to sports bans. This article is for you, the ones still figuring it out, the ones who want to be better equipped to push back when lawmakers try to turn sports bans into a political weapon. Basically, yeah, like somebody... Oh my god, interesting. An older gentleman replied to a story I wrote on a transgender sports ban saying, I am a diehard liberal, 62-year-old man, and I agree with banning male-born bodies from female teams. It's clearly a huge advantage and unfair for the women. I disagree that athletes with advanced prosthetics should be able to compete. Bionic people can run faster. Where does it stop? It's okay to ban them. She says... Okay, so she decides that this person is not a troll and that he is just a genuine person saying, here's what the problem is, whatever. She says, I asked a few questions, listened to his concerns, and made what I hoped was a reasonable, moderate case against trans sports bans. And it worked. I guess she is claiming to have convinced this guy. She asked, even in darts? What about pool? What about competitive Irish dancing or chess? These bills treat all of the above the same. So that he basically then says, I don't agree that there should be separation in these sports, but only in the ones where there's a physical difference, I guess. Let's see. How does she respond to that? So she's basically going to assert, yeah, why wouldn't each sport be able to set their own regulations, since those regulators in those sports know what counts as fair for that sport? We shouldn't treat swimming the same as golf, the same as chess, the same as darts, which is how we're handling it now. And he was like, okay, that makes sense. So I guess basically the moderate position, as Aaron is presenting it here, the moderate position on trans sports is to just let each regulatory body do it instead of passing a law. She's considering the ripple effects of this conversation, saying, I reached him, maybe not all the way, but enough that the next time someone brings up trans athletes, he might pause. He might say to them, did you know they actually banned trans people in chess and darts? I don't know, that's a step too far. And that sense of doubt, that moment of doubt, matters. This is someone who sees himself as a moderate, and here's the truth. Broad transgender sports bans are not moderate policy. They're sweeping, reactionary, and often absurd. But polling rarely captures that nuance. Most surveys skim the surface, never probing deeper than a gut reaction. The more people actually learn how these bans work, the harder they are to defend. Yeah, I mean, I guess okay, so I guess that's fair. The moderate position is, it's the same as like the argument for bodily autonomy is like, why don't we let people handle this who know about it more? Like, doctors study trans care, let them treat their patients the way that they have determined is the best way to treat them. Let women get abortions if they need them. You know, I think this falls into that same kind of small government argument of, and like, does this law make sense? Does it make sense to ban trans people from chess? No, it doesn't. It's obviously discriminatory. And it creates this doubt that's like, well, maybe there isn't that much of a difference in some, and like, how physical is the sport? If it's just running, could we say maybe that it would be better to let that be co-ed, or at least have there be a co-ed option? I think it's harder probably to argue with people on like, I don't know. I mean, of course, you guys know that I care about like the evidence. So there is no evidence that even in contact sports, like boxing, like people used to bitch so much about Fallon Fox giving someone an orbital fracture. But that's like one of the most common injuries in boxing. And it's not like she hurt that woman worse than any other woman fighting against another cis woman, like, it's like, yeah, like, so you can't claim that there is a unique safety issue if the safety issue seems to be completely in line with what we would expect from that sport. So I know that there's no evidence that suggests that trans women who have undergone the appropriate treatment that is established by the regulatory body, whatever, like those women do not represent a danger to other participants, which is one of the arguments that gets made. That's the core of this guy's argument, who's like, well, there's obviously a physical advantage. It wouldn't be fair. It's not safe. Like, but there's no evidence of that. So why are we just like taking our feelings about that and deciding to create policy around that? So at the very minimum, I think you could just leave someone with, politicians shouldn't be involved in this decision making. That this is not a way that's going to protect anyone. It's only going to hurt people, and most often it's going to hurt cis women anyway. First trans and now cyborgs. True. Yeah. He's like, to compare just the like normal like variation in human body construction to, I wouldn't allow someone with bionic legs to join in the participation. And it's like, that's an interesting idea that has me thinking about the Paralympics and how, like, I mean, there are people who have lost limbs who are participating in these running activities, who have these like special bouncy legs that they wear that allow them to run. Do they actually run faster? If Paralympians were able to participate with, you know, our mainline sports events, would they actually have an advantage? Because I always assumed that Paralympics was considered separate because there's a number of disadvantages involved. That was my assumption, but I don't actually know. Is this another thing where it's like the reason why we segregate sports is like the stated reason is to protect the marginalized group from never, ever, ever being allowed to win? Or is it actually like a way of maintaining ableism and like able superiority, that like if we allowed disabled people to participate with abled people, what we would find out is actually that disabled people are enhanced beyond regular performance levels? That's a really interesting thought. Can you imagine then, like, if there are athletes if they integrated Paralympics with regular sports, like if we stopped segregating them, do you think that there would be a point where any athlete like deliberately cuts off a limb in order to have like a performance advantage? I would love to find out what would happen. I feel like that's a sci-fi short story that I want to write. Hold on. Where's my pen? I'll pencil will have to do, I suppose. Where is my pen? That's a great question. Oh, there it is. I found my pen. Okay. Sci-fi short story about integrated Paralympics, people cutting off their own feet. That's how I'm going to try to remember this idea. Oh my god, I wish I knew shorthand. No, I just marked on my desk with a pen. No! Get it out of there. No. Oh, that's a bummer. That sucks. All right, whatever. Transhumanism is the future. I would read that. Yeah, that's a fun little idea. Welcome back, Mosh. I'm going to eat a peanut butter cup. That's what's going to happen. It's a protein peanut butter cup with like yeast and shit in it. But it's pretty much just like a normal peanut butter cup. It's pretty fascinating. There are regulations about blade length for Paralympic runners. Pistorius moaned about it. Okay, I'm not familiar with that. That kind of makes sense, though. I was wondering that, like, and are there different categories? Like, do all of the racers who've lost their leg above the knee, race in one category, and then in a different category, there's the below the knee amputees? Like, I don't know. I replaced a tooth after an accident. That's why they call me Super Tooth. Super Tooth. Super Tooth. Protein peanut butter cups are the best. I mean, it's a brand new discovery. I was doing my weekly order, and I just typed in the word protein just to see what would come up as like high protein, maybe like high protein option of regular food that I already eat or whatever. And it's like, yeah, peanut butter cups, 8 grams of protein if you eat 4 of them. So like 2 grams of protein if you only eat 1. Moshe says, I'm obsessed with the idea of hoarding data in a fake tooth. Like instead of a cyanide capsule in your tooth, it's like a little fucking micro SD card or something. Ember says, apparently the most recent study on amputee runners, which they dubbed Blade Runners to be funny, showed no advantage overall and actually showed a disadvantage in lower initial acceleration and greater difficulty with turns. Okay, that's interesting. I wonder what would, in that case, like, what would happen if we stopped segregating those sports? I'm not sure. Yeah, imagine you're in a shady meeting and someone asks you where you got your information and you just remove your tooth and hand it to them. Is that in Spy Kids? Oh my god, I haven't seen Spy Kids in for freaking ever, dude. It's not, I'm not like on a, I'm gonna rewatch a lot of movies from my childhood kick. Oh my god, I have to watch Star Wars tonight. Or not Star Wars, fucking Star Trek. I have been, like, I'm supposed to be watching the old Star Trek movies, the original series Star Trek movies, and I'm just, like, not that excited to watch them. I'm actually kind of like, shit, I wanted to write a cover letter tonight and not watch that movie. So I have to watch fucking Star Trek, and then we're going to talk about it on the podcast tomorrow. So I'm definitely not a really big fan of, like, watching older movies. I'm like, yes, I will watch The Last of Us again. Oh, Spy Kids 2. Okay, I don't think I saw anything past the first Spy Kids movie. I think it was just Spy Kids 1 for me. Freaking Danny Trejo. I'm gonna look and see if there's anything else on Aaron's website that we should talk about today. Oh yeah, the Lucifer thing. Yeah, let's talk about the devil. Okay, I had to consume another peanut butter thing, but I wanted to make sure that you didn't have to hear me eat. Okay. We've talked about Gary Click before. Representative Gary Click from Ohio. He has previously stated, according to Aaron Reed, that there was no religious motivation to his gender-affirming care ban law. Okay? No religious motivation to it whatsoever. However, he has now just compared trans people to Lucifer. On Twitter, of course. Previously Click gained notoriety by leading the Ohio gender-affirming care ban bill thing. Governor Mark DeWine voted it down, which triggered a legislative showdown. Beyond Ohio, Click has also convened strategy sessions with lawmakers from other states, advising them how to advance similar anti-trans bills. He is a pastor by profession, but claims that his legislative efforts are not religiously motivated. I genuinely think that an integral part of separation of church and state is that you have to, I really think that you should not be a pastor actively. Like, you shouldn't be that recently, maybe with not within like 5 years of running for office. And I also think that the moment you say anything about like religion being a part of your decision-making process, you should not be allowed to continue working as a politician. Like, there should just be an immediate special election where you're not allowed to run for re-election. So, like, you should be immediately removed from your job, is my opinion. A Twitter post he made yesterday said, trans Jesus, he's been around for a while. His name is Lucifer. He, quote, identified as the Most High. FYI, it didn't work out. Followed by a paragraph from the Bible about the fall of Lucifer. So he is comparing trans people to Lucifer, saying that, like, we are identifying as something we are not. You know who else did that? The devil. Like, okay, so you can't claim that you're like, I don't have any religious reasons for anything I do. And then if literally all of your actions are in line with the religious beliefs that you profess, and what you are functionally doing is forcing other people to live by your religious beliefs by making your religious beliefs into law. Again, you should be fired immediately. There should be a special election should be triggered, and you should never be allowed to serve in any public office or public position ever again. I think that's perfectly reasonable. I wish these cowards at least kept their stories straight. I just like is it cowardice or is it really bold, actually, to lie straight to our faces, to say, no, of course there's no religious motivation for any of the bills that I sponsor or pass or vote for. Also, trans people are Satan. You know, like, I think that it really is the arrogance. I think it's arrogance that is the thing that I am bothered by. Ember says, I'm fine with being compared to the most beautiful angel who had a problem with a very immoral God. Right, it's hard to argue with that. Like, Jesus. Videos surfaced in 2024 of him promoting faith-based conversion therapy to his congregation, claiming he has, quote, counseled LGBTQ plus individuals and helped them overcome that before. In the same recordings, he describes trans people as straying from God's plan and frames their existence as evidence of a crumbling of society brought on by Satan. Yeah, and like, despite the overtly religious nature, Click continues to insist that his legislative agenda is not motivated by religious animus toward trans people. God, listen, I don't know how many times I need to tell you. Okay, yes, in the pulpit, I did say that trans people are straying from God's plan and that they indicate that society is crumbling and that Satan brought them, and that I've personally helped people overcome their LGBTQ feelings. So I don't know how you could possibly take any of that to mean, listen, none of the laws that I'm passing, because again, this guy is Representative Gary Click. He's a representative in the state of Ohio, and his job before he became a politician, and I guess maybe still his side gig, is being a pastor full time. So to be clear, despite all those things that I said in the pulpit, listen, you are being ridiculous when you suggest that I am passing laws limiting the rights of trans people. And that doesn't have anything to do with any of the things that I said on Sunday. Listen, that was Sunday Gary. Sunday Gary has his opinions. Monday Gary, none of the things that I said about trans people have anything to do with me now trying to limit their rights and access to public spaces and get in the way of their medical decisions and threaten to take their children away from them. Like, no. You're being ridiculous. That might be a YouTube short. Just because I was like really on a roll there for a second. I'm going to eat another peanut butter bucket. Peanut butter bucket? That was certainly a way to describe this. Peanut butter bucket. Look at this. This is a bucket full of peanut butter. Yum. Aaron points out, and I think it's worth bringing up, that this is not the first time a representative has called trans people demons. That happened in Florida, and we covered it 2 years ago. Do we need more ranty Lux? Is this what people want? People want me to just talk for 45 seconds without taking a single breath. Yeah, that was a good little YouTube short segment. I'm just not really trying to make like any kind of official schedule of videos right now. Like, fuck it. Just do whatever. See what works. Ignore what works. Because like that one video essay I did that got like 10,000 views, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. Ignore what works, it turns out. So yeah, trans people are the devil. Apparently. Ooh, apparently Stephen Miller promotes indoctrination of children through the public school system. Is this at a federal level? Oh yeah, this is a dude talking at the federal level about what we should do with regards to the education of children. Let's watch a video while I continue to eat another peanut butter cup. And that brings me up to my serving size of 4. I should be doing a video myself right now. Instead, I'm going for a walk. So there, yeah. I'm just giving up on being any particular version of successful with this. It's fine. Oh my god, I didn't know that was going to happen.
Love America. Children will be taught to love America. Children will be taught to be patriots. Children will be taught civic values for schools that want federal taxpayer funding. So as we close the Department of Education and we provide funding to states, we are going to make sure that these funds are not being used to promote communist ideology. For any nation to be successful,
Communism.
it cannot teach its children to hate themselves and to hate their country. So these are a few of the areas in which President Trump has fought the cancerous, communist, woke culture that was destroying this country, where we were led to believe that men were women, that women were men, that racial discrimination was good, that merit was bad, and that safety and physical security mattered less than the feelings of liberal ideologues. The children will be...
All right, so that's fun. I mean, let's see. Aaron wrote like an article about it. So basically, like, the crazy thing about this is that schools in conservative states do like perform the worst. So it's like, I mean, I guess technically in a way you're going to be sending money to the schools that need it the most currently, because schools in liberal areas tend to be well funded because they're well funded by like property taxes, excuse me. No one taught me Stephen Miller was bad. I just figured it out on my own. Yeah, I really didn't know who this person was, basically, until just now. True. I know people like this are what is making people hate America, I think. It's like if you are what represents what America is, then it's understandable for people to be like, I don't like that. That turns me off. That makes my pee-pee shrivel up. Miller has also said that the Department of Justice is coordinating with state and local law enforcement to fight, quote, child abuse in our school systems, referencing conspiracy theories that public schools are surreptitiously transitioning children behind their parents' backs. It is child abuse to change a child's gender, particularly if you do not inform the parents. It is a gross violation of parental rights. And like, this is what makes me want to throw up everywhere. And it's this whole like, oh, it's child abuse to change a child's gender. Meanwhile, I know that like child abuse in our school systems, I know that there are highly religious communities that when a girl is raped by her teacher, People will refer to her as a seductress, even when she was a victim of grooming. And so, like, that is happening right now. There is child abuse in the school systems in the sense that sometimes these people in positions of authority abuse children, and then they get shuffled around, just like with priests. And then to say that affirming a child's gender because their parents would kick them out or abuse them, like giving them one space to be themselves, is child abuse. Like, I want to not have a solar system anymore. I think we should just delete all of it and not start over. That's how that makes me feel. I'm trying to take the really big feelings that I have about this and package them in a way that is the least destructive format. And the least destructive format is to delete the sun. That's how I feel. They technically can't criminalize trans children for being trans, but the government has nonetheless targeted trans children by going after their healthcare providers and medication manufacturers, teachers that call them by their chosen name, schools that give them access to bathrooms and sports teams, private businesses that choose to cater to their needs, and the caretakers who affirm their trans or gender nonconforming kids. So, yeah, that's pretty stupid. Oh, shoot, I didn't mean to. Hold on, I need to open that back up. Come back. Aaron, come back. Black hole sun, won't you come true? Like, I checked out all fucking week. I didn't see any of this shit all week. Oh, here's a good news. Arizona Governor Hobbs vetoes anti-trans bills, telling the legislator that they need to focus on real issues that matter. It was a birth certificate update ban, as well as 2 DEI bans that explicitly called out transgender people. Yeah, Arizona, Katie Hobbs. That's good. One of the measures would have prohibited trans individuals from updating the gender marker on their birth certificate. The 2 other bills targeted trans people in higher education and workplaces, continuing a broader pattern of attempts to restrict their rights in public life. Cool. That's awesome. Sucks that they keep passing laws that are, I mean, in the legislature, like that the House and Senate are together on passing these anti-trans laws, and all that's standing in their way is the governor and apparently a lack of override majority, which is fucking scary. When she vetoed the bill, she released a statement saying, "This bill will not lower costs, will not increase opportunity, and will not enhance security or freedom for Arizona. I encourage the legislature to focus on real issues that matter and impact people's everyday lives." Yeah, it turns out, stop doing stupid bullshit. It's kind of what she's saying here. Oh, goodness. Interestingly, one of the bills she vetoed that has to do with DEI, one of them sought to prohibit any institute of higher education in Arizona from receiving state funding if it offered courses related to, quote, diversity, equity, and inclusion, a category that was so broadly defined that would have included any curriculum merely referencing gender identity. The other bill extended a similar prohibition to state agencies, effectively banning policies that ensure non-discrimination based on gender identity or sexual orientation. Both measures, like the birth certificate bill, passed the legislature along strict party lines. Yeah, pretty fucking dumb. But hey, that's a good win. Knowing that we have governors around who are willing to, stand in opposition and tell the legislature, like, hey, why don't you do something that fucking matters? Why don't you do something that's actually going to help people? Because I and the constituents are tired of y'all wasting time on this dumb shit that, like, you're just curtailing people's rights for no reason. It's not actually providing any level of safety, or it's not increasing security. It's not boosting the economy. It's not actually curtailing any abuses. Like, it's just fucking pointless. Everybody should have a 2-liter bottle of water just around. And put your favorite flavors in there. There's like 0 sugar flavorings for water. And also, you can just put lemon water in there. Like lemon juice. Just squeeze lemon juice directly in there. It's good. And hell, I mean, even if you like, you can just carbonate regular water. You can just get a soda stream and carbonate regular water. And then, like, I truly believe in making things enjoyable, even if you're trying to make health choices. Like, health choices don't have to be punishments. You know, you're not making a health decision to punish yourself. If you've like, and I think that it, like, a big problem is like people who gained weight. They're like, oh my gosh, it's bad that I gained weight. So that leads to like a feeling of like feeling bad during all of the things that they could do to adjust their lifestyle. Like, I have to drink plain water instead of soda. Like, I'm so bad for drinking soda. It's so naughty. There's like all this value put on it, and it's so much more valuable to just drink plain water. And then you get these people who like shit talk people with those beautiful. Have you seen those TikToks of people with those really beautiful like corners in their kitchen where they have a bunch of like little pumps and little packets and stuff of like flavors that they can add to their water? I'm like, yeah, whatever makes the water more drinkable, like whatever excites you, whatever makes you feel less guilty about it, whatever makes it less soul sucking, like get a soda stream and you can just carbonate water, and then it has some of that effervescence, and you can put in some like 0 flavor sugar in there, or sorry, 0 flavor sugar. Wow, opposite. 0 sugar flavor packets in there, or little syrup pumps, or whatever how the fuck they work, and drink water. You know, it would be good. It's good for you. Put hot sauce on shit. Like, hot sauce has almost no calories in it, but it packs a lot of flavor. So if you need to like cut out some fatty things that taste really good, like, oh, I want to eat a salad, but like I don't want to do I don't know, like so many, like ranch has fat in it, or even vinaigrettes have oil in them. Like, just put some salt and some hot sauce on that bitch. Delicious. Immediately elevates it. Lemon juice and hot sauce. Thank me later. SodaStream on the BDS list. I don't know what BDS list means. Also, I don't care if you get a SodaStream branded one. I just meant like a home carbonation machine. So if there's a more general term for that, I just don't know it. I personally I'm not one of those people who struggles to not drink soda. Soda is a very rare thing for me, and I usually don't even finish the whole soda when I get one. But it is definitely more of a thing for other people, and that's fine. Find your alternatives that put you on track for the kind of choices you're trying to make. Lemon juice is great for adding to practically everything. Don't add lemon juice to anything that you're doing with beef, though. Really, it seems like there shouldn't be a difference, but like if you're having like tacos, for example, and you want to incorporate some acidity to cut through the fattiness of like the pork or the beef, don't do lemon. Something about lemon and beef together, it's like, I think that's rancid. But lime doesn't do that. It's very weird. SodaStream is on the boycott list to support Palestine. Oh, okay, sure. My bad. I just meant like, yeah, any home carbonation. I use SodaStream the way that we use like Kleenex to refer to tissues, but you don't have to. I don't give a shit if you have Kleenex brand tissues. I love tonic water more than soda anyways. That's when you know that something is changed within you. When you're like, I prefer tea to coffee. Because tea is like an active health choice. Oh, you guys. Oh, I was so bummed out. The last time I saw you, I think actually I saw you on Wednesday. But it was Monday that I discovered that my kombucha was moldy. And it really fucked my whole day up on Monday. It really was genuinely super upsetting. And I ended up throwing it out, but then I started a new one just yesterday. But I'm following different directions and hopefully doing it right this time. So I'm starting another kombucha and I'm hoping that it actually fucking works. And then I can drink kombucha every day. I love probiotics. They're so good. Yogurt. I still need to open up the kimchi that I bought. I bought kimchi. It's in my fridge. I need to buy it, or I need to open it. Yeah, I was really, really sad about my kombucha. Just immediately got moldy. I was like, God damn it. Yeah, no me gusta. Moldy booch. Not good. Not what you want. I'm going to upset some people. Isn't kombucha meant to be moldy? No. So, symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. SCOBY is how you refer to like the core of the drink. Like when you haven't yet made like kombucha yet, you just refer to it as a SCOBY. And it's a particular kind of bacteria. I don't remember what it is. Hold on, let me find it up. What bacteria usually in kombucha? Kombucha yeast have been reported to include members of the Zygosaccharomyces and Brettanomyces genera. Bacteria reported in kombucha cultures include acetic acid bacteria and lactic acid bacteria. So we've got lactobacillus and glucanacetobacter. Glucanacetobacter. I don't know how to pronounce that word. And acetobacter. So there's like a couple that are like typically those are in there. So you don't want mold in there. Like there should never be like fuzziness or like weird colors on top. The SCOBY that you want to see healthy growing is like, it's basically just a white cream color. It forms a rubbery disc around the top of the kombucha. And then sometimes in the very bottom of the kombucha, you'll have like some kind of brown schmutz. That is yeast. The brown schmutz is yeast. But what you don't want is mold. Mold means that the culture wasn't strong enough to fight off other things. Because obviously there's mold in the air all over the place. So yeah, you do not want mold in there. That means that the conditions are perfect to grow mold that could be harmful to you. So yes, it's a fermented thing. It's like having a sourdough starter. You have like a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast that you maintain, and you use that to create like a larger amount of tea. So it's like a fermented tea drink that you can also flavor with like fruit and stuff in some of the later stages. So I just kind of fucked up. Like I just did the wrong thing. I tried to make an entire gallon jar of SCOBY out of like a whole jar of kombucha with no SCOBY, only the tea. But what I should have done is make a much smaller amount of tea to build a healthy SCOBY out of like the smaller amount of tea that I bought. So yeah, basically long story short, I did it wrong and no wonder it fucked up. And this time I'm trying to do it right. And I just got it started yesterday and I'm going to check on it actually this part can take like up to 4 weeks. So this part is the part where I'm letting it build up a nice layer of SCOBY at the top. And we'll see how it goes. I'm excited. But I love kombucha. I'm going to need to buy some to drink in between now and then because I just want kombucha. But it's like $4 a bottle. It's expensive for something that is so cheap to make for yourself. And it basically becomes free after the initial, okay, I bought a gallon jar. I bought like the 6 glass bottles. The only thing that you need to continue buying for it is black tea, or I guess whatever tea you're going to use, but black tea primarily, cane sugar. Like, I have those two things around my house no matter what. No matter what, I have those two things in my house. And then you can, like, whatever fruit or flavoring you're going to put in there. So I like bought like a bag of frozen mixed berries from the store. Can it produce alcohol? Yes. Kombucha is typically labeled as having like 0.5% alcohol. 0.5%. Very, very low percentage. It is only kind of technically an alcoholic beverage, and it's like just enough that they are required to put it on the label. But I don't even think you need to be an adult to buy it. I don't actually know. That's a question that I haven't asked before. Is like, you must be able to buy kombucha because it's such a small, it's like a negligible amount of alcohol. This is how I feel about brewing alcohol, says Moshe. I have a good swing going and I'm using foraged material and it's blowing my mind how much I used to spend on wine. God, why? Even for like a cheap wine, it's like $13 for a bottle. And that's like maybe not even a full, like, one night of drinking if you're sharing that with two people. So yeah, wine is fucking expensive. Mead also. I love mead, but it's very expensive. It's an old school thing like table beer to drink when the water is bad. I don't think it's really intended to be that. It's a fermented beverage. Like, people drink it because it tastes good and it has probiotics in it. But I haven't really looked into the history. What is like the history of kombucha? I don't care if you're interested in this or not, by the way. I'm interested in it. Okay, that's the AI overview. Let's look at Wikipedia. Wikipedia says that kombucha, which is also called tea mushroom, tea fungus, or Manchurian mushroom when referring to the culture, it's a fermented, lightly effervescent, sweetened black tea drink. Sometimes the beverage is called kombucha tea to distinguish it from the actual culture of bacteria and yeast that you make the tea out of. Kombucha is thought to have originated in China, where the drink is traditional. By the early 20th century, it spread to Russia, then other parts of Eastern Europe and Germany. Kombucha is now homebrewed globally and also bottled and sold commercially. The global kombucha market was worth approximately 1.7 billion USD as of 2019. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, yeah. Kombucha is produced by a symbiotic fermentation of sugared tea using a symbiotic culture of yeast and bacteria, commonly called the mother or mushroom. I was not familiar with the term mushroom until just now. The microbial populations on a SCOBY vary. The yeast component generally includes Saccharomyces cerevisiae, along with other species. The bacterial component almost always includes Gluconocidobacter, xylanus, to oxidize yeast-produced alcohols to acetic acid. Although the SCOBY is commonly called tea fungus or mushroom, it is actually a symbiotic growth of acetic acid bacteria and osmophilic yeast species in a zooglial mat or biofilm. The living bacteria are said to be probiotic, one of the reasons for the popularity of the drink. So, kombucha likely originated in the Bohai Sea region of China, spread to Russia. This is really just like not enough information about what did Chinese people believe about kombucha? Like, why did they drink it? That's what I want to know. I want to know why people started drinking it. I got caught up reading the section on adverse effects for a second there. Interesting. Yeah, this doesn't go into, like, tell me why. Tell me why ancient Chinese people drank the booch. Tell me why it spread into a global thing. Tell me why. Okay, hold on. The Big Book of Kombucha. Okay, what is this? This is just a claim in a book from 2016. I don't think that counts as like a source on Chinese history. Why did people start drinking kombucha? Here's a Forbes article. Oh my god. There's a Forbes article. I want to look into the Forbes article. Okay, this article from Forbes claims kombucha originated in northeast China, historically referred to as Manchuria, around around the year 220 BC. Jesus Christ. And was initially prized for its healing properties. Its name is reportedly derived from Dr. Kombu, a Korean physician who brought the fermented tea to Japan as a curative for Emperor Inkyo. Eventually, the tea was brought to Europe as a result of trade route expansions in the early 20th century, most notably appearing in Russia as kombucha and in Germany as this word. Despite a dip in international popularity during World War II due to a shortage of tea and sugar supplies, kombucha regained popularity following a 1960s study in Switzerland comparing its health effects to those of yogurt. Sandor Katz, a leading fermentation expert and author of The Art of Fermentation, noted that this initial popularity was due in part to consumers who believed that the beverage was a powerful health aid for serious medical conditions. He explains, I first tried kombucha around 1994 when a friend of mine with AIDS started making and drinking it as a health practice. It was touted as a general immune stimulant, though claims of kombucha's benefits have been extraordinarily varied and broad. Basically, like, we haven't really studied this enough to be able to say conclusively what the health benefits might be. Studies conducted through 2010 suggested that the health benefit anecdotes associated with kombucha have occasionally been overblown by the media and industry figureheads due to over-biasing positive results from non-human studies and anecdotal human studies. However, researchers believe that kombucha's tea base and fermentation process imply that the beverage contains similar benefits to plain tea and fermented foods, including probiotic benefits that encourage gut bacteria diversity and aid in digestion. Apparently, there's been a regulation crisis. Oh my god, this is history I didn't even know about. Kombucha continued to see healthy growth. Haha, that's funny. Due in part to increased consumer awareness via expanded grassroots distribution and the increased availability of the brand GT's Kombucha. The production and distribution of kombucha halted abruptly for 2 months in 2010 following a Whole Foods inspection by Maine Department of Agriculture Consumer Protection Inspector Randy Trahan. During a routine bottle audit at the Whole Foods, Trahan noticed leaking kombucha bottles, explaining some of the bottles on the shelf were leaking. Being a public health official, I know that alcohol is a byproduct of the fermentation process, and I could immediately see that there might be a public safety issue because kids could get a hold of this and get a buzz. It was discovered that some of the bottles contained alcohol levels ranging from slightly over 0.5% to over 2.5%, which was well above the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau's regulation that labeled non-alcoholic beverages must contain less than 0.5%. Shortly after the analysis results had been published, Whole Foods removed kombucha from the shelves. Okay, they updated some guidelines on the regulations. I read The Art of Fermentation years ago and was under the impression that basically New Age hippies brought it over in the 70s from Indonesia or Cambodia. Yeah, well, I can see how it became popularized globally. I was more curious of like, why did people start drinking this in the first place? Was it because it was safer than drinking water? I don't know. I guess it's suspected that in China it was a health drink. And that, I guess, idea has persisted where people think that drinking kombucha is healthy. And there are like some studies to suggest that it might improve health, but it's like in the same way that eating yogurt can improve gut health. But obviously, like as a fermented product, it is something that people have to be careful with, and it has to be regulated if it's going to be sold commercially. Because you can end up with like botulism if you fuck it up. I wonder how strong you can make kombucha. Like, what if I went to make some for getting smashed? Yeah, I mean, you could probably do that. I don't know. I don't know how you would go about that. I mean, I think that if you got it to a place where there was a lot of alcohol in it, it would probably be really, really, really vinegary. I guess unless you add a lot of sugar in right at the end of the process. I always kind of figured it was just part of the big Chinese medicinal subculture and someone happened to market it well. Possibly. That's a good point. But it's also very yummy. So... There were complex claims in ancient Chinese medicine, though not sure what the claims were beyond just like digestion and various fever protocols. Yeah, drink kombucha to lower your fever. Distill it, kombucha moonshine. Oh man, that would be interesting. I'm sure someone has done it. I don't really know what would happen, but if I had a distiller and I was willing to waste time, I could do that. I have considered getting a distiller. You know, it's good to be able to produce your own distilled water occasionally. And they make little ones. I would bet that it was medicinal and turned commercial. Did you, I mean, still, the way that it is, it's advertised as like a health drink. Did you know that's where a lot of candies came from? They were originally made to make medicines taste better or easier to digest. Oh, that's fun. So it's a little side effect. A common issue with stuff coming out of ancient Chinese traditions is that the translation is difficult, so a lot of the times these articles don't even bother getting into decent source materials. That's what I'm struggling with right now. I want to know, why did people in China, why did Chinese people drink kombucha? Is that going to help at all? Google has been such shit lately. I don't know if anybody else has been experiencing this, but it's like fucking impossible to get straight answers off of the front page of Google. I completely ignore their AI overview too. I'm like, you don't have anything valuable to say to me. If I want an AI answer, I will ask fucking OpenAI. Okay, this Smithsonian. Okay, from the Smithsonian. Okay. The Cloudy Origins of Kombucha, From Folk Medicine to Pop Culture Potion by Laura Zhang in 2019. Thank fucking Christ. Okay, good. Here we go. Of course, yes, consumers praise this bacteria-laden fermented tea for its incredible purported health benefits, including a supposed reduced risk of heart disease, increased gut health, and even playing a part in preventing cancer. This concoction, which many believe began as a home remedy, appears to have transformed into a popular commercial health product. Even Coca-Cola has acquired a brand of kombucha. It seemed that for every origin story I dug into, 3 or 4 more revealed themselves. Gunther Frank, a German author who has conducted extensive research on kombucha, explains that although stories most often couple kombucha with East Asian cultures, most reports or allegations are simply anecdotal. According to Frank's research, in one case, people in China drank kombucha tea during the Qin dynasty in 221 BCE when it was referred to as the remedy for immortality, or the divine che. Although, doesn't it seem like the remedy for immortality would be death? Cheeky. Then in 414 BCE, a Korean doctor named Kambu brought the tea to Japan to cure the Emperor Inkyo. Could it be that the tea was named for the good doctor? It may also represent a case of misapplied loanword from Japanese. There is even a fermented kelp tea that goes by the same name, derived from kombu, a brown seaweed, and cha, which is tea. Another report says it comes from the area of East Asia and came into Germany via Russia, Frank explained through email. Still another tells us that it came from Japan, and another says Manchuria, and so it goes. So the first definitive reports of the tea's use came from Russia and Ukraine in the late 1800s. During World War I, Russian and German POWs drank it. From there, kombucha began to permeate various countries, playing a significant cultural role in the Westphalian industrial region of Germany. Pharmacists sold it as mogu, which is the Chinese word for mushroom, or fungo Japon, so fungus from Japan. Drinking fermented tea attained wild popularity in Europe in the middle of the 20th century. It is reported that priests in Italy were dismayed to find parishioners mixing it with holy water to assist its healing properties. In 1955, Italian musician Renato Carosone released his improbably titled hit song Stu Fungo Cines, the Chinese fungus. So this woman, determined to find a Chinese community connection, I turned to my parents, who are from Fuzhou and Shanxi provinces in Japan. I asked whether they or our other family members had ever heard of kombucha. The resounding answer was no. I also checked with Xi Wang, another former Smithsonian intern whose family is from Yunnan province, Japan. Shiyu thinks her grandmother used to ferment tea, but her grandmother has since passed away. Shiyu's mother had never heard of kombucha before, despite what I read about its popularity during the Cultural Revolution. Shiyu surveyed her network on WeChat, the most widely used social media platform in China. Had any of them heard of kombucha or something like it? No, yet again. That's fascinating. I love that, like, she researched into it and found that, like, there's literally no one in China in the modern era knows what kombucha is. Or, like, at least it doesn't have, like, a cultural place for them, which is so interesting. She says, like the drink itself, the origins of kombucha are very cloudy. But what about its alleged health benefits? Ed Casper, a medicinal herbalist and kombucha specialist who runs Happy Herbalist in North Carolina, confirmed that ancient East Asian cultures used kombucha as a health remedy. He came across kombucha during his tenure as an acupuncturist, witnessing its effects on his customers. Over the phone, he says practitioners of traditional Chinese medicine referred to kombucha as the elixir of life. He described how his own customers improve their health spectacularly after weeks of following a strict kombucha regimen. Even so, I remained skeptical about the beverage's lionized effects. Would kombucha one day find its place among other popular foods whose nutritional values were inaccurately touted by industries just to sell more product? Let's see. This other person, Caitlin Corley, works at she's enrolled at the University of Austin's graduate pharmacy program, has been looking in kombucha for, they're learning how to carefully extract different components of kombucha, which helped us realize the impact of commercialized kombucha. There can be a tension between kombucha brewers needing to preserve the character of the drink while also trying to patent differentiating lines of microbes in their beverages. It's unclear which specific microbes are responsible in the fermentation process. Our theory was that if SCOBY is really in these different kombucha samples, then we should be able to extract the symbiotic culture and recreate it. We called our culture Scooby-Doo. I love that. Scooby-Doo. That's hilarious. They've tested kombucha tea from various commercial brewers, including Buddha Brew and K-Tonic. Eventually, they found that the 52 different samples only contained 9 unique species of microbes. After further isolation and cross-referencing with scientific literature, the team determined that only 3 types of microbes were essential to forming what constitutes kombucha. That's cool. I do love that she's like this supposed expert in it. When was it? Like, oh, this guy, Ed Casper, says, oh yeah, for sure. It was definitely used in ancient Chinese medicine. Like, but all of these Chinese people I actually know, and all of the Chinese people that those Chinese people actually know don't have any fucking idea what it is. That's very funny to me. So it might just be that it's been, you know, I mean, literally, she said that the first confirmed historical references to it were in the 1800s. It seems that if you use brewer's yeast, you can get hard kombucha as high as 8% ABV. Ooh. That's interesting. So it would basically just be like, I mean, yeah, it's just a fermented alcohol with tea as its base, and there's like tannins in the tea, similar to how there's tannins in like whiskey and wine, and yeast like there is in beer. That's interesting. Yeah, and so you guys know the yeast, like the whole point of like a carbonated beverage or anything that goes through this like process, the percentage of like how strong can the yeast survive, like it's like basically how much of their own waste can they swim in, because that's what alcohol is. It's their waste product. So if you try to use bread yeast to make a beer or mead, it might not work very well. You might end up with a really weak mead or a really weak beer. So then there's like brew beering yeast, and then there are like sometimes even like more specialized kinds of yeast that are more for mead because they result in like a 13 or plus % rather than like, you know, the 8% that you typically would get with beer. When I hear kombucha, the first thing I think of is Onision losing his Patreon. Oh no, I missed that completely, I guess. Or maybe I just didn't know what kombucha was at the time. No! Oh my god, Moshe says, I once got a SCOBY from a white witch, and unfortunately I let it die about a year down the line, shortly after all my houseplants died. Spooky. Oh no! Oh, that's wild. I think that's funny. Sometimes I don't know how to handle you all in chat. Like, talking about yeast in the pussy. Like, I feel like this is a lack of ability to gauge what is appropriate. And sometimes I see this on a regular basis, and I'm like, why do you not know what's appropriate to talk about in a chat? I don't know how to help you. Marketing plus Orientalism. Yeah, totally. Yes. Wellness industry marketing does this kind of shit regularly. It's true. It's a different kind of yeast. I think it's raining. I don't know if it is, actually. But it is supposed to rain today, I'm pretty sure. One chat is on gross yeast. One is talking about Orientalist marketing. It's true. I still kind of feel bad that I wasn't able to, like, successfully keep alive the yeast that my, like, the SCOBY that my friend gave me. But I was like, whatever. White leaf culture be like, true. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. So it turns out we don't really know the origins of kombucha. couple days ago it was raining while the sun was out. Ugh. I think that kind of thing happens here pretty often because the weather changes really fast here. Even if it's like, oh yeah, it's for sure gonna rain today, it's not usually all day. It comes and goes. So yeah, I don't. It's pretty common here for there to be like, coming and going. Is that not an appropriate chat topic? I mean, it's like, sometimes you get chatters who are more overtly sexual than the rest of the room is comfortable with at a given time. And sometimes people making a remark is like, if somebody was like, oh, you know, I'm having a genuine medical problem. First of all, this is not the place to try to get advice for that. But it's like couched in the context of a person who regularly brings up sex in a way that is kind of inappropriate and is not like in line with the vibes. Because sometimes we talk about sex. We do. Sometimes we have smuggy chat. Sometimes we talk about how hot people are. Sometimes we talk about genitals. Sometimes we do that. But it's about being able to gauge when everybody else is on board to have that kind of discussion. And sometimes people are just like kind of out of left field with it. And you have to be like, that's not really appropriate. There's a guy who was obsessed with Japan and brought back so much furniture and art that his stuff is all over Britain in different museums. That's neat. And you know, there was like, I think it was a Japanese guy who brought over the art of bonsai to Portland. And now there's a huge culture of bonsai in Portland. It's crazy. Eric says, honestly, being confused by people legit believing Orientalist lies is part of how I got a lifelong curiosity to learn Mandarin and study there. China is not as weird as people say, but it is interesting. I have so much respect for a culture where it's normal for you to wear a mask if you're feeling under the weather. Like so many other things about their culture, I either don't know about or don't know enough about or whatever, but like there is so much respect that I have for a culture where like it's a fundamental thing where they give a shit about other people enough to like not get other people sick when they know that they have symptoms. Oh man, I think it might actually be raining. And since it comes and goes so quickly, I'm gonna go leave stream to enjoy that because it hasn't been raining that much lately. So I'm gonna go do that. And I love you very much. And I am planning, what day is today? Today is Sunday. So I'm planning to see you all on Wednesday. That will be the day that we stream again, is a Wednesday. Wish me luck writing my cover letter this week. Because I'm basically like, as soon as I get all this stuff looked at, like the deadline, I think the deadline is the following week, but I'm going to get my application in as soon as I can to say, hey, I'm interested. Please plan to hire me. So, yep. But I'll see you guys in the future. And until then, be good. Or at least don't get caught. All right.